picked them up on the camera too. And we are now live, folks. Oh, we were for a moment, now we're back again. Yes, so they're shoulder to shoulder pretty much. It looks like Madison down the centre of the road, just off her shoulder a wee bit would be the rider Q rider. So we're about to pick them up, come round that corner so you can let folks know that we're now live. Currently 3 cameras up in action, hopefully they'll double that by the end of the afternoon, but they've managed to get the technology going on it, the 3 of them for us. Here they come up around the corner here, folks. This is the under-19 sprint finish. Also indicating they're not too far away here as they start to pick the pace on up. And it's the Black Magic ones here, but well down on the inside. And it looks like Madison trying to hold the off. And Madison will take the off and go really close indeed. Wollaston on the outside, a teammate was next in line. Ward will secure the bronze medal. But Avon Madison may well have got the judge's nod by 116. We'll get that confirmed shortly for you. And Poppy McIver comes in second place. Nina will take out the under-17s. Oh, they went too far behind. Caught us off big guard there. Of course, they must have had a bit of cat and mouse in the under-19s. But the mighty Q rider and the under-17s will take it out easily with the ends there with a good sprint. And that'll be the first national title for that mighty Q team, women's team. So they'll be pretty chuffed with the way things have started for them in 2024. As well, Madison or Wollaston. We're just waiting for confirmation there. I think it's, from this angle, look like it could well have been Madison. There comes our 4th place getter, folks. Would you put your hands together? Michaela Perry coming on through to finish her day's racing. And here comes our bronze medalist also in the under-17, Minnie Collins. Has stuck to it throughout the day, so good effort by those who secure the bronze medal in the under-17s as she goes through with 1 lap here to go. They're going to make it all the way. Just wait for confirmation from the judge. They're checking the cameras there for the under-19, but no doubt about the under-17 race there. With Nina Wall, number 86, securing the under-17 title from Poppy McIver.
Yes, all in the under-19s. Julian, it ended up being a Black Magic 1 and 2.
Oh, yeah, no, that's all right.
Elena Worrell, she certainly had her work cut out, didn't she?
Absolutely, and that's, but stay cool, calm and collected with it, because that's what all that team racing is all about, isn't it, of course, and that's, they come into these situations. It's good ride in the ends, well 3. Keeps it pretty steady throughout the racing. Got that one rider now to complete some of their distance. So as we said, we never wanted to get in an argument with the judges, so we've managed to call it exactly as they have here. So Ava Madison, 116, confirmed as the winner of the under-19 women's title. 120 Alex Wilson, which should be 2nd place of the medalists, and Elena Wall, 119, securing the bronze medal. But Ava Madison was set early on, looked pretty sharp with it, looked to be in pretty good sort of form coming into it there in those early stages of today's racing. So a short break now, 12:45 is the next scheduled racing. So it's currently coming up towards 12:15, so we're about half an hour away from the next lot of racing. Good opportunity now to head along to the food trucks, but don't forget, we've still got one rider just coming through here in a few moments' time here, the bronze medalist for the under-17. So welcome along, and then those who are now starting to tune into the live streaming. Apologies for the slight delay here. If you just missed the sprint finish there, that was the combination of the under-17, under-19 women's racing, in which we saw Ava Madison take out the title. Rider 116 from Alex Wollaston, her teammate, 120, and in third place was Elena Wall, 119. And amongst those we see the under-17s, swung forward to 3. And that saw Nina Wall take out the title from Poppy McIver, and just to complete the distance, moments time will be Minnie Collins, and that will secure the bronze medal in the under-17s. So those going into the live streaming, as you can see from the footage currently here, we're in blue skies, a bit of overcast over the back of us in the course here, and the wind is certainly starting to pick up. You might be able to pick that up on the microphones here at the moment. It's certainly starting to play havoc out there on the course, and we'll try and catch up with some of those winners and get their insights into what they found about the racing out there in the last half hour or so. Our next scheduled race is at 12:45, so please let everyone know if you're watching the live streaming at the moment, and we are now up and going. We've currently got 3 cameras on the course. We hope to double that as the afternoon progresses. They've just got a bit of a challenge there with some of the technology, but you can see the finishing straight on your screens at the moment. Here comes our bronze medalist, folks, in the under-17s. Minnie Collins there in Cycling Levin colours to pick up the bronze medal.
And if you've just joined us, folks, the first event of the day was the under-17 boys. That started at 11 o'clock. They raced for 20 minutes plus 1 lap. And of course the winner of that event, just bringing in the results to bring you up to date, was David Kwan. Took that one out, riding for Pista Corsa. Then there was the Frucio rider. Harry Shannon was second, and Andrew Jensen was third, wearing the colours of Copeland's. So just repeating those results in the under-17. First, David Kwan. Second, Harry Shannon. And third, Andrew Jensen. We hope you're going to stay with us during the day. We'll just take a wee break now between now and when the next race starts. But we'll look forward to being with you right through the day.
If we do have Ava Madison, if Ava Madison is about, if she'd like to come along here, and we'll catch up with her about the racing. So the winner of the under-19 title.
Because there's more interesting things to talk about if you're out there. Well, it looks as though... So they won't have any pictures, but you can hear us. But we understand that if you go to webscorer.com, up in the top left, click on Find Races, Find Results. Then New Zealand Criterium Nationals will have the results posted for you up there just as soon as the judges have them sorted out for you. So just repeating that, folks, if you can hear this, webscorer.com, top left, Find Races, Find Results, and just click on New Zealand Criterium Nationals, and that'll keep you up to date with the official results as they happen. So Julian, now just going to have a talk to our winner in the under-19 women, Ava Madison.
Well, folks, we're being joined here by the latest national champion, Ava Madison. Well, congratulations, Ava. A real team effort out there today.
Yeah, it was a pretty tough race. It's good to be racing back with all the girls, but yeah, we're Team Black Magic, but you know, we're just still racing as individuals, so it's fair, so not ganging up on anyone else.
Now, tell us a little bit about the conditions out there. That wind has certainly picked up as the race went on.
Yeah, so it was a pretty gnarly headwind coming into the finish, so I was kind of making sure I was positioning well each time and, you know, saving as much energy and making other girls do more work so I could save my legs. But yeah, it was pretty rough, and it was a nice little tailwind up the hill, so yeah, that was good.
And of course, it's fantastic to see the cycling develop, particularly women's cycling. And of course, a new team out there with Elena, they're challenging you today with the cycling project.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome to have more women's cycling. We definitely need more in New Zealand. And yeah, I'd always support more teams coming and racing, and always a good challenge to have strong girls. So yeah, it's a pleasure racing them.
And of course, I know it was a small field in the under-17s, but they were in the mix with you early on, so great experience for them as well.
Yeah, 100%. I know quite a few of the under-17s, especially Poppy and Nina, and they were pushing the pace and really putting us through our work. So yeah, it was really good to race with them.
And how much does this mean going into 2024, being able to take away a national title, take that jersey here at the Criterium Championships?
Oh, it means so much. I've been working really hard over summer. It just means the world. I got to thank my parents and coaches and Cycling New Zealand for putting on an awesome race. Yeah, it just means everything.
Well, congratulations, folks. Would you put your hands together for your under-19 champion? And hopefully shortly we'll catch up with Nina as well. Well, folks, we're just getting set up here for the camera to do our next interviews. Of course, the under-17 girls out there with the under-19s. And a new set of colours out in front, Nita. I bet James Canny and team are going to be very stoked here with the fact they saw the Mitre Q colours out in front.
Yeah, I'd hope so. I really enjoyed racing for them, and it was a really fun race altogether as well. So, it's really great.
And can you tell us a little bit about the establishment of this team? Because there's a number of riders now in this colour.
Yeah, so there's quite a prominent men's team, and we wanted to give women more chances to ride some big races. So James Kenny's been funding that and creating a really strong team, so it's been good.
And tell us a bit about that race. Of course, it split up fairly early on, so it was you and Poppy going head to head.
Yeah, so versing at under-19s was obviously quite fast, so once me and Poppy got together, we tried to work together, and it was just a fast finish to see who was going to get the win.
And of course, as we've mentioned with the under-19 winner, that wind started to pick up, making life a bit tough out there.
Yeah, the end, a bit windy, headwind, but yeah, the downhill was quite nice, so it made up for it.
And for you personally, and for the team, I guess, and what sort of racing have we got coming up over the next few weeks?
In terms of road, not too much for me, but I have a track Northern Cup coming up, so that's next on my agenda, so yeah.
Well, congratulations, an outstanding effort. Folks, would you put your hands together for your under-17 women's champion? All right, folks, as we mentioned early on, 12:45 is the next lot of racing that will be getting underway. And that will be the under-19 men. Just a reminder to those riders that they'll be assembling you about 10 minutes out from the start of the racing. So we'll come back to you as soon as we have a bit more information. Well, I think Marty might have a little bit of information.
Well, just a reminder to the riders to return your transponders to the sign-on caravan when you finish your event. And also, just to talk about a couple of events. Just to talk about a couple of events that are coming up in the near future. Put these in your calendar, folks, and if you haven't made your entries already, now's the time to be doing it. The River City Wheel Race in Wanganui, that's happening on Saturday, the 3rd of February. You can enter online. The entries close on the 31st of January. There's open and junior grades. And so that's happening in Wanganui. Racing starts at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. And then on Sunday, the 11th of February, we've got the Zeal Wellington Junior Omnium Carnival. So that's when we have the scratch race, tempo race, elimination race and points race for the Omnium. And there's a warm-up event there, a 500-metre individual time trial. So that is happening on Sunday, the 11th of February at the Wellington Velodrome in Hataitai. Just looking here, that'll be on the net, I'm sure, but just looking to see what time. It starts at 11 a.m. in the morning, and the grades are under 11, under 13, under 15, under 17, and under 19. So that's the 2024 Wellington Junior Omnium Carnival happening in Wellington on Sunday the 11th of February. So the plan is you go to Wanganui for the 3rd of February, Julian, for the River City Wheel Race Carnival there, and then the following weekend you head down to Wellington for the Wellington Omnium Carnival.
Actually, I'm going to change that on you. I think they need to head to Southland first of all, and that of course is this Thursday coming for the IRT New Year Carnival, and of course they've got the Stonewood Homes Gould Invercargill Road Race, 70k, New Zealand's longest running road classic. Gets underway at 6 o'clock on Thursday night, so just head on to the Cycling Southland Facebook page, website, and you can get yourself entered in there. I know the likes of Nick Kirk is going to be heading down there. There'll be Marshall Irwood, there'll be Josh Burnett, and a few others that are already starting to sign themselves up to contest the road race, followed by 2 days worth of track racing at the SIT Zero Fees Velodrome, and then the Ascot Park Hotel Criterium on the Sunday. So plenty of races, and then of course, as you've mentioned, those other events, they can head on up north and do that. So plenty of preparation work for various events coming up in the near future, and of course those elite and under 19 road championships are going to be held not too far away as well in Timaru. And that's always going to be a great event when you know who's all behind that, as we mentioned early on with Amy Hollenby and the Mid-South Canterbury team. Always do a great event. And of course they hosted the Age Group Road Championships in the last year or so. And then of course after that, a lot of those riders will be hanging up the road bike for a week while they head back through to Cambridge for the Oceania Track Championships as well. So there is certainly a lot up for grabs for these riders. And of course, yeah, speaking of some of these senior riders that we're going to come across shortly, Marty, and that's a number of them hanging around in New Zealand, enjoying the sunshine, as we are here in Palmerston North today, and waiting for those Elite Road National Championships to try and secure a very good result and ultimately the national jersey so that they can then head overseas for their respective teams wearing that very proudly.
Yes, and of course we've got the national track champs too to squeeze in there as well. Julian, if you have a look at the calendar, it is very congested at this time of the year. That national road champions jersey to the winner, and probably go to a rider who will be riding in Europe on the Pro Tour. That will be keenly contested at the New Zealand Cycle Classic. We spoke to one or two riders there that their purpose was to get fit so that they could help a team member to take that jersey out. And of course, Campbell Pithy comes to mind. He's got a brother there that's riding, and he certainly would enjoy having the New Zealand National Champions jersey on his shoulders. He, of course, is riding in the Tour Down Under, or had been riding in the Tour Down Under that had just finished, performed extremely well there. Corbin Strong finished well there, so did Finn Fisher Black. So some of these, well, they're not junior riders anymore, are they? They're starting to make their presence felt at top pro level.
No, it's fantastic to see there is more of a pathway for these riders these days, and they're not just one or two Kiwis on the world stage, as we've seen in years gone by, but now a number of them. And that's, of course, with different riders making contacts, being in teams, and they're helping some of those riders develop through it, as we are on the domestic level as well. I mean, like your Pista Corsa team, and that's a great example of that. Tim Paulson and the team there, ensuring these riders get exposed to the top level racing, and then ultimately a step forward into the top ranks. You got, of course, the Mitre Q team with James Canny and them, where they get the only pro content team. They'll be doing 3 months worth of racing in the United States later on this year as well. So there's a lot of more options certainly available to these teams here. Russ Valley Ridley, another one that does exactly that, gives these riders an opportunity, as we saw them just recently at the New Zealand Cycle Classic. And of course, I saw the stats the other day there, Marty. It's you'd never have thought in this up until this point in time that you would expect to see 18 and 19-year-olds potentially going to be riding at the Tour de France, at the Giro, etc. I think there was something like of about 9 or 10 of them all up. I think about five under 19-year-olds, and something like 4, I think, from 18-year-olds who are at the top level of racing. So quite a switch around, and of course that makes things even juicier for these young riders here, thinking, well, actually, if guys at that age can do it, then potentially we could be in the mix as well.
Yeah, it's real interesting for, shall we call ourselves old heads who can remember cycling back in the 70s, 80s and 90s. The thinking then was quite different. It was a lot of those younger riders were protected really, and the school of thought was not to put them into the Pro Tour level or the top level too soon, but that definitely is a turnaround now. Some of these guys, they seem incredibly young to be riding at that level.
Absolutely, and of course, hopefully most of them will have, or all of them have some very good individuals and very good teams around them to, off the bike as well as on the bike, just advising them. And that because, of course, it's all about physical development and the mental side of it as well. Of course, for some of them, it's a big step, all of a sudden going from home, and that's getting 3 meals a day and being well looked after to all of a sudden surviving on your own a bit. It's not as glamorous as what some people think, and it's pretty hard yakka just to ensure that you can perform at the top level when you've got to deal with a lot of things off the bike as well. But as we've seen, a number of these guys are doing a very good job of it. You said Lawrence Pithy, I mean, a massive shout out to Lawrence there yesterday. I was sitting alongside a few of the team riders there from Mudgway at one of the Irish pubs here in Palmerston North of all places, because they had the Sky TV going, and we got to watch Lawrence, as no doubt many of you did, perform extremely well on that final stage and that up the hill, where he was actually in contention to win that final stage there as he went off the front with only 500 odd metres to go. It looked like we could have had a Kiwi take out the stage, but he's performed extremely well. He's had a couple of fourth places, so as we already know his calibre, but he's starting to show them there that actually you need to seriously look at me for some of those classics later on this year and potentially even Grand Tours.
Yeah, absolutely, Julian. It only seems a very short time ago we saw him at the New Zealand Schools Cycling Nationals held here in the Manawatu, but it's only seems a short period of time that he was riding there, and now he's on the world stage. But as you say, Julian, it's not all easy, it's not all glamour stuff at that level, as we've seen of the team Black Spoke Bolton Equities. What a great team they were. But things can change on you, and of course those riders that were in that team, they've had to look for other contracts, and of course some of them have managed to find it, but of course others will be struggling to get that rise. So they were a great contribution to New Zealand cycling Black Spoke Bolton Equities. I think they were in the at the pro level there for about four or 5 years, and riders like Aaron Gate, etc., and George Jackson, who were riding for them, have managed to get other contracts. But that doesn't necessarily mean that if you're a member of that team, you're going to walk into another team. It's tough.
It certainly is, and speaking of one of the riders from that particular team, Luke Mudgway will be up in action later on today. It'll be interesting to see what he does out there on the roads around the Massey University here. Of course, he's the defending champion, had the big team lead out last year, so we'll see what he can produce here today for us. Now, we've just been checking in with the Tiki team, and they tell us it's no problem whatsoever. If people want to put some comments, some questions, and that we'll try and answer them for you. We can't promise to be able to answer everything. It's pretty fast and furious here for us as well at the finishing line area where we're all set up. But we'd love to hear where you're watching from. If you're anywhere around the country watching this race here, want to give a shout out to any of your particular teams, any particular of your riders here, and that just chuck it on up there, and we'll endeavour to try and keep a track of that at the same time as we bring you this live coverage here of these Criterium National Championships. As the hosted here in Palmerston North, and thanks to the council here for their great support of this, along with Massey University. Steve Stannard and his team doing a fantastic job yet again, bringing you the second year's running worth of racing here for these championships in very warm conditions. I mean, the Southland commentator's out in a pair of shorts now, Marty. That says something. It's obviously going to be a hot one.
Yes, you're even wearing shorts, Julian, but I think we'll just leave that there.
No, we don't want to scare people away from the screens. There will be no footage of the legs, and that it'll just be the voice. But we will be doing the presentations, if you're wondering, at the end of today's racing, and that for all age groups. There's been a couple of scratchings today, not too many though, and one addition also to one of the fields there, a number that was just missing off, and I'll just pick that up for you. That is Hayden Strong of Southlands. He rides in the Maawatu team. He'll be in the elite men's race, so he might be just missing off your list if you're just basing it off the website there.
So we've got a shout out here to Oliver Scott from Nathan Hill. So Oliver Scott, there's a shout out here for you, and also we've got some people watching from, what's that? Looks like, yeah, it's from Auckland, looks like John of the Dropped Studios or something like that. Yep, good to have you aboard. Nice to know that you're out there watching.
There is about a 30-second delay on the stream, so
Under 19 riders, you're now being called in, please, for the briefing, or under 19 riders to the briefing.
Can one of you tell me where registration is?
Over there in the caravan.
Okay, thank you.
So riders now being required to the start line. 12:45 is the next one up. Now, for those with the live streaming, if you're picking up a bit of distortion, we apologise. That's just the conditions here with the wind blowing across here, across the mics. We're trying to see if we can do something a little bit about that.
So just a field lining up now for the under 19 men. We understand that number 97, Joshua Rowe, is a scratching. Joshua Rowe, a scratching from that. Julian just might like to run through the field there. We've got a little bit of time to do that. It's now 12:35. These guys are due to get underway at 12:45. Looks like we've got Bernard Pawson there. Be part of the Tim Pawson clan, perhaps. Yep, indeed it is. Kyle
Yes,
Paris.
brother of.
And then Hunter Dalton. Well, you know all about the Dalton surname.
Yeah, Hunter will certainly be up there in the mix. As we mentioned earlier on, actually, he's one of a number of riders who are stepping up into the under 19 category here today. So some of these guys just coming out of the under 17. So Kyle Parrish, number 92, Dalton, 93. You got Josh Kevner, number 94, Jack Eva, number 95, Mark Liu, 96. You said Joshua Rowe, number 97, and now scratching. 98 was Andrew Richardson. 99, Ollie Taylor. 100, Arif Roberts. Begin again, number 101, Lucas Pimmy, 102, Fletcher Adams, 103, Jack Norden, 104, Hunter Adams, 105, 106 is Kane Foster, 107, Oliver Sims, 108, Lachlan McNabb, 109, Liam O'Rourke, 110, Finn McKenzie, and 111, Johnny Barclay. That should be our field from 91 through to 111 here in the under 19 men that are getting themselves in preparation here with the final briefing going on. They're going to be racing for 30 minutes plus 2 laps, a sprint at 10 and 20 minutes.
Oh, we've got a couple of shout-outs here, Julian, from Cole Ferringer for Remy and Hunter Dalton. Cole Ferringer wishing you two guys all the best. Julie Foster, she's just joined. Yes, we will be showing you pictures, Julie, when the racing starts. So just between the races, there'll be just no pictures, you'll just have the voices only. And Shelley Kavanagh, a shout out to the performance racing team. Great to hear from you, Shelley. Yeah, so the video is going to be up and running for you in a moment. I think currently they've got about 3 cameras out on the course. They hope to have that doubled for us as they work through the technology here. So we will bring you as much of the key points around the course as we pick them up, because just like you at home, we are watching it also from a screen here in the finishing straight, so we can certainly see the last 150 odd metres live, the rest of it, and that just like yourself, as you can see the under 19 riders now with Mike Sim, the commissaire, now giving them the final instructions here for these under 19 men. And you can see in the background, folks, as you're watching it, the trees blowing about a fair bit here, making life a little bit tougher here as we go. It's still a bit overcast, and it's quite dry, warm conditions here, quite humid sort of conditions, but not too bad. They were talking around 27, 28 degrees here today. So folks, you should be getting live pictures now, just seeing Mike Sims there, or Mike Sim giving the field their instructions.
So I see there's a question here. Did my grandson Harry Shannon do? Well, he did pretty well indeed. He was away in a break with 3 riders, and I think he secured the silver medal in that particular age group. So folks, you can also check out the full results also through the web scorer on Cycling New Zealand's page, as riders now start to line themselves on up here for the beginnings of the under-19s. Looks like the feed here, we're just watching it on the screen, looks like they're all sort of sitting there, but of course there's a slight delay there of about 20-30 seconds in that, but we are seeing them actually physically up at the start line. So riders on to now. So the riders spread across the course and ready to go. And of course we've got pit lane just up on the left-hand side, just beyond the finishing line here.
I see the Southland colours there, right on the start line, Julian. I guess you'll know who that is.
Yeah, that's one of our up-and-comers down in the deep south, Liam O'Rourke. He's based up around the Gore region. He'll be contesting these championships. The only Southlander in this particular fields. That won't put them off as they get themselves down for the final last moments here for this under-19 category. I expect, as per usual, under-19s typically don't muck about or make life hard for each other. 30 minutes plus 2 laps. As I said, a couple of sprints in there. Now that you've joined us, folks, with the live streaming, a number of the races do have some sprints up for grabs, and that is worth dollars for these riders. So it doesn't affect the final result, and that's brought to you by Glen Kirk Oral Surgery. He's one of the keen cyclists from up around this region here. And that's thanks to Glen Kirk Oral Surgery, these riders can pick up a few dollars. So we'll no doubt see a few of them trying to contest that, pick up themselves a number of dollars, but ultimately the last sprint is the one that counts to determine who will secure that New Zealand Champions jersey. Don't forget those putting up the comments. We'd love to hear from where you're sitting at home, where you're watching this from around the country. And feel free to push it out there and let people know now. We're up and live here for the coverage around the circuit here at Massey University. Going to our 3rd race of the day. Of course, the final race of the day starting at 2:30 this afternoon will be the elite men. And you no doubt hear the winds in behind us here, blasting away.
We're just having a look at the mics here, folks. We understand there's a fair bit of wind disturbance coming through at your end. Well, hopefully you can hear most of what we're saying. We'll certainly do our best, but we are outside, so we are exposed to the elements to some degree. That wind, Julian, turn right round. For the earlier races, we had it tailwind into the finishing straight, or over the start-finish line. And now when we look at it, it's predominantly coming in the other direction, so it's going to be more than likely pretty much a headwind as they come into the finish, just like last year.
Absolutely, it'll be another thing that the riders will have to adapt to, and that's as it seems to swirl a wee bit there in some parts of the circuit as well, as we can see the professionals flag there just waving about towards the finishing line. Of course, the professionals, great supporters of the recent gravel and tar race as well. And as we've mentioned throughout the day, that this racing wouldn't be possible without the great support of a number of businesses from around the region to ensure that this sort of racing be up and going for the riders.
Yes, it was good to see Lee Vertongen there from the professionals there at Gravel and Tar. He's a great name, cycling name from New Zealand's recent history, and of course he's here today. Good to hear Lee, and great to have your support, of course.
Just a reminder to our under-19 men, the winner of the race today, if you could make your way over here to the commentary area at the conclusion for the interview. So the winner, please to make their way over to the conclusion here, over to the commentary area, and we'll catch up with you. So just under a minute till the race start. behind the truck. So a number of different colours will bring to your attention as the race goes on.
So the under-19 men are away, and as you were saying, Julian, they don't tend to mess around, these guys. They tend to give it heaps. They're riders that are maturing, of course, and the old testosterone levels will be a little difficult to keep under control for these fellows, but it makes for exciting racing. There's no doubt about that.
So folks watching the live streaming, you can see the next camera at this point in time is picking it up. This is right at the bottom end of the, if you like, the descent on the back half of the course, which will bring them down to the base of the hill. So that's turn there, we can see all the conage on your screens. Is a tight left-hand turn for these riders, and will be a key area in which you've got to be well positioned. We were talking a little bit about that earlier on before we came on live for you, and that you can see the traffic island right down through the centre of the straight there as they come into it. They'll come into that very quick down that back straights, and then potentially got a bit of a tailwind to boot, as we see the lead motorbike now bringing them in. So they'll be strung out along here. We did see the odd rider go down the other side of the traffic island, but you're going to lose a lot of speed doing that, as they looks like Pista Corsa. There goes one rider who does that. It's right on cue. Went down the other side of it, and then loses quite a few placings as they head back up the bit of an ascent. And now you can see the next camera picking them up towards the top of the climb. So that was the base that you saw them on. They'll zigzag a little bit up there, and now they'll head up towards, as you can see, the vet clinic sign here at the Massey University. And now we're getting the imagery here for you of the finishing line area. So a few points at the moment. I hope to have up to half a dozen cameras for you and that in action, and we'll try and point those out where we are on the course. Of course, it is 1.98 kilometres, and that's around the circuit here of racing for these riders here today. As we see the delayed images on another screen there, is that again that field just all well stretched out, but pretty relaxed as they head into the base of that hill, as we now see them come off the top. And they'll be around that corner in a few moments' time. So just a reminder, if you are crossing the road, that the racing is on. And then just be careful here as the riders come on through. You Pista Corsa team members towards the front. And possibly, I think, Robert McGinnigan in the black colours. And that's now, if that is him, he was a very well performed rider last year there, Marty, down in Southlands in atrocious conditions. And that for the Yunker Junior Tour, because it was his 40th edition. Great tour, which a number of junior riders, right through from under 13s right up to under 19s, contest every year. And they have a bit of a track carnival and South Island champs and national track championships, school champs to boot just after it as well. But as you can see there, all looking pretty relaxed here as they come on through. No one too keen at this point in time to put any great pressure onto the field. 101 will lead them on through. That, as I mentioned, Robert McGinnigan, man on the front there, just controlling things at this point in time. Right towards the back 100, Reef Roberts. Now there's a guy to keep a close eye on here, and that's got not a bad sort of a sprint. Him and Marshall Irwood last year at the South Island Secondary School Championships in Christchurch went head-to-heads. He's, from memory too, he's won the Club Road National Championships as well in Timaru, so he'll be certainly a man that's well performed. Keep a close eye on him.
Yes, rider 102, Lucas Bimmy. He'll be somebody to keep an eye on too, Julian. He's a good finisher, and he's performed well as he's worked his way up through the grades. But anybody that can do well in that Yunker Tour down in the deep south of the mainland, they certainly learn how to ride a bike in pretty tough conditions down in that part of the world.
I tell you, last year was just incredible weather conditions those riders had to put up with. Those who were, if you like, getting their last bit of practice in before the SBS Bank Tour of South, and were more than happy to experience the strong side winds that prevailed during that there. But in the end, the Tour of Southland was outstanding conditions, as we mentioned earlier, on fastest ever tour ridden, with riders finishing up to 45 minutes in advance of the estimated start time. As we now look for a large group, so holding back early on here after a relatively quick start out of the blocks here. No neutral start for them, of course, either here, Marty. So that makes life was interesting. Just a bit of nerve trying to get the foot into the pedals there as they roll off the line. But they all seem to have got it all sorted. And decent size sort of a field here to now contest this half an hour's worth of racing.
Yes, well, it is under 19 and 30 minutes worth of racing. Of course, some of these guys could contest event, you know, with another 15 minutes, even an hour on top of this, but it's 30 minutes today, so they've got to get it right. They need to acclimatise themselves to the conditions, to the course, because the last 2 laps are going to come down relatively quickly.
Well, you can tell the breeze is certainly picking up as our gazebo starts to levitate into the air a little bit here for us. So trying conditions even here at the finishing line as some decent gusts of wind come on through. As we see the lead motorbike brings them through here once again. Just head sprints if you just joined us, and that's a couple of sprints available here for the riders at 10 minutes and 20 minutes. That's dollars up for grabs here for the riders. TES colours. Steve Keast and his team down in the deep south. That's the white colours with the blue and the red. Transport Engineering Southlands there as they roll through the Cycling Southland colours towards the back. McGinnigan number 101 there in the dark black colours. 104, I think it was that Jack, Jack Norden. And that's in the county's Manukau colours there. And as we mentioned, right towards the front there in the striped sort of colours. We can also pick up Reef Roberts, that's 100s. So there's just a few of the riders as they roll through. But surprisingly, more than happy just to roll together at this point in time here, Marty.
Yes, to see the rider in the Pista Corsa colours that was nearest us as they went over the finish line. So Lucas Bimmy, 102, he was near the front there as well. But yes, just testing. No, they're not even testing each other out, really, are they? They almost look like they're just rolling round.
No, absolutely, and that's quite hesitant here at this point in time as we look to some of the comments. Looks like, was this the NN running team in Wellington? A shout out to me. Well, there you go, and that's and to Birdie up in Rongotai, and that's as well. So, folks, don't forget if you've got any questions or want to give a shout out to one of your teams, one of your riders, and in particular, we'd be keen to hear from where people are watching this live streaming today here. This 2024 Cycling New Zealand Criterium National Championships brought to you here at the Massey University, right here in Palmerston North, and a great crowd starting to build here around the circuits. In blustery conditions, but very warm conditions. People getting around in the shorts and t-shirt here for the day, for what promises to be some very good racing, as we've already heard a few of the races, of course, the under-17 boys, the under-17 girls, under-19 women. Now we're on to the under-19 men out there in racing for 30 minutes plus 2 laps. 1:30, the elite women will be up. They'll have 45 minutes plus 3 laps. And at 2:30 will be the elite men. That's a slight change to their program, same start time, but an increased by another further 5 minutes. Well, Marty, a bit of a break happening.
Yes, we've got a bit of action here at the front. We've got 2 riders just closely followed by another one, as you'll be able to see, just coming up past the vet clinic there. So a bit of pace must have gone in on the climb this time, Julian.
Yeah, a bit of pace, and certainly a reasonable sort of a gap there, because looking at the main field, there wasn't a lot of reaction. Now, whether they think they've got that under control or whether the leagues just aren't quite responding here, so it'll be interesting to pick up these numbers as they come through here, as they do now. And that's the red colours pounding the big gears as they go through. So, right, 110, 100s. I just didn't quite pick the other one. So Finn McKenzie's up there. And as we said, Reef Roberts potentially was the other rider that was in the mix there with them. Of course, they're heading into the first of the sprints. So Finn McKenzie, 110. As we said, just didn't quite pick up. It was a 100 and something. And that's towards the front there. Some of these riders have got these numbers up relatively high, or on the far side, that we're on the opposite side of the circuit here. That we'll try and pick them up there for you.
Yeah, I wondered whether it was 108, but could have been 106 either. It was just catching the bottom of that number, so it was a little difficult to tell who the third rider was with them. Some of you out there, of course, who know your rider or know your riders will know exactly who that was.
Bit of a shout out there for Jack Norden online as well, 104. Mentioned him early on here in the piece. And also the support crew for Liam. That would be Liam O'Rourke from Southlands. I mean, based just out of Invercargill, up around the Gore region. Now look out, folks. Marshall Irwood's online and already given his mate Kane Foster a bit of a shout out as well. And Kane, he certainly would be one of the strong contenders out here. We've seen him in action not only on the road, but as we mentioned earlier on today before coming live, a lot of these riders come with a mountain bike background, also track racing for a lot of these guys. And Kane, certainly one of the key guys that you often see in the track racing as well. So the speed will suit them down to the ground here when it comes to the Criterium racing. As we mentioned early on, and the Track Nationals not too far away, and of course the Oceania Championships as well. The first sprints, and it'll be interesting to see, Marty, if these guys decide, yeah, we'll pick up the dollars, we sit up and we go back, or are we going to opt to think, well, actually, these guys are giving us a decent sort of a gap, which at the moment is still reasonable here as the three of them pound their way over towards the top of the hill.
Yep, same three riders. They've managed to stay away.
I think we just picked up on the radio was 108. Lachlan McNabb, that's also in the mix there with them. So that would potentially have him and Finn McKenzie and Reef Roberts. That are the guys that have headed off the front of the race here. And here they come through the finishing straight now. And one rider just trying to chase them down, but they're opening up a decent gap here. As 110 is Finn McKenzie, and then that would be Roberts there in the multiple colours.
So Finn McKenzie took them across the line, Reef Roberts, and then Lachlan McNabb. So they were sprinting for dollars then, Julian, but nobody really seemed all that interested in just contesting that little sprint, really, did they?
No, I think they've got the big picture in mind, so they decided, actually, we've been given this opportunity here, we might just keep ourselves heading off the front. It's like it might have been number 104, Jack Norden might be in a bit of trouble off the back a wee bit there. The county's Manukau colours.
How do we turn the sound down on this thing?
So as we look to the base of the climb once again here, we'll look to see who's going to be at the forefront. Are we going to still see these three? Yep, 1, 2, yep, 3 of them it is. I tell you what, they've got themselves off the front very early on in the piece here, and it's already mentioned the likes of Reef Roberts, for example, and what he's done. So hence why you see at least one rider that's trying to do the chase across.
He's at 10 seconds.
And here we go.
And the peloton at 17 seconds, so yeah, a little bit of a break.
Yeah, a bit of a break, and as we mentioned earlier on, wouldn't take too much of a break to get yourself the win here today in this Criterium racing, but because those three seem to be settling into things here, I'm not so sure that the peloton itself have quite sorted themselves out into a cohesive sort of a unit at this point in time. That could make all the difference.
Well, we've been racing just on 13 and a half minutes now, Julian, so really in the big picture, it is early days, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, for these guys here. This is all on for these riders. There's a few names we haven't mentioned at the moment. It would be just sitting back there, waiting patiently, and just hoping that the gap can be shut down a fair bit before they attempt to try and jump across. As you mentioned, the likes of Lucas Bimmy certainly would be a name up in there. Kane Foster, we've said already. Hunter Dalton, certainly a very quick rider at the end of any race there, so they'd certainly be well aware of him, and he'll be hoping that this can be shut down a fair bit.
Yeah, well, they've taken 3 seconds out of them coming up that climb. Those 3 riders are now out in front, and the chasing bunch or the peloton, they're at 14.
So here we go. Leading group of 3 riders coming down the finishing straight here. These guys settling into their paces. 100s. Brings them across first of all. Reef Roberts, he looks really cool, calm and collected there as they roll through this time round. And the 3 of them are well settled into it now as the chasing field brings them through. So it's 107 that'll bring them next on through. He'll be the first man through. That would be Oliver Sims. Kane Foster up there in the mix there towards the front of the race as well. As we said, Marty, it doesn't look like as a unit that they're doing too much sort of lapping out together here. It's like Jack Even, number 95, he's just struggling off the back there. But that main field, it looks like it's being left over just to a few riders to try and do a lot of the groundwork, which of course will work in the favour of this leading trio at this point in time. They don't mind that the main bunch can't sort themselves out into some sort of working unit here at this moment in time. And of course, there'll be a bit of team racing, a bit of mates who's up the road. They won't chase them. Shout out for the Marlborough boys, Lockie and Finn, going up on the screen here as well. So keep them coming, folks. If you want to let us know where you're watching from today, which part of the country, which part overseas you're watching it from, here in this live streaming coming to you. There's a few riders that are off the back here come through. Rider 98 and 104. Looks like Jack Norden might be calling it a day. Andrew Richardson, another one just well off the back there.
Well, that gap's gone out a little bit more, Julian. There must have been a bit of pace on coming down the hill. The chasers are at 18 seconds. So yeah, a bit hard to know what the tactics are. We certainly don't seem to see any evidence really of team racing very strongly at this stage.
No, it's all about strength here at this point in time. And that is at lead group 3 rolled on through with a reasonable sort of a gap. Shout out to Mark Lou, and then out there contesting, he seems to be in the mix there with them at this point in time. As our 3 come up towards the hill, they keep looking over their shoulder. They're concerned by the fact that they could still be chased down by these guys, which is certainly the case that could happen here. But at the moment, they've got it well under control from our point of view here. As you can see, the main bunch now starting to roll their way through. So 3 riders, of course, there's only 3 medals up for grabs here today. And these 3 are doing a good job of it. As you can see, that main peloton now has been whittled down quite considerably here. Not many left in it at all as our leading 3 riders come on through. The big lanky figure there in the red colours and the Marlborough colours.
Well, they're at 25 seconds. Sorry, the peloton's at 25 seconds, the chasers. So these guys are they're going away. They look to be working pretty steadily, so it appear that the time is being dropped because the chasers aren't really all that coordinated or cohesive. The 3 guys out in front, they seem to have got their act together.
No, totally agree. I think this is looking a serious effort here from the 3 out in front. This bunch here need to start to really reorganise themselves. They want to try and shut things on down. It looks like 102, Lucas Pimmy up there, 106, Kane Foster, some Pista Corsa colours up towards the front, but they got one rider just in front of them. We didn't quite just pick up his number there. Possibly was Fletcher Adams, but I'm not totally sure. And that's that all.
So we think that chasing bunch was 30 seconds, but sorry, the main bunch was 30 seconds behind the chasers. So you've got about a minute over the whole field at the moment. Thanks, Glennis. Hey, Luke.
So a few riders certainly off the rear of the field here. As you can see, that main peloton, as it started off with a decent size sort of field, riders 91 right through to 111, but we've probably got upwards getting towards 10 riders that have just peeled off the back a little bit there, even though it's just fairly steady at this point in amongst the main bunch. I still think there's a few sprinters in amongst them that are sitting back there. They're hopeful that this group will bring back that lead 3, but the leading 3 there, Reef Roberts 100s, Lachlan McNabb, he's the tall figure in the red colours, 108, and 110, Finn McKenzie. They are the 3 riders who at this point in time are looking serious contenders as they head off up towards the hill to ensure that they're on the podium as we see them come into the finishing straight once again, Marty.
Yeah, but we've got to watch on them, Julian, just as they come out of that area there with cones. It'll be interesting to see whether that time gap is going out. But they look to be working together well, these three, don't they?
Absolutely do, and they've decided they know what's required here. They've got to forget, as we've mentioned in the past, you forget about the colours on the shoulders of everybody to an extent, and they decide that actually we need just to be unified together, ride as one cohesive group if we're going to try and challenge. And actually it is the tall figure in the red there. He's just done another one of the laps. He slots straight back into it there as they come through. Now, more importantly, what's the time gap for these guys?
Well, the camera just changed its view, so I wasn't able to get a watch on the chasing group, but I think it's gone out to more than 30 seconds. I've got a watch running on them now. But of course, these three that are out in front, as you say, they just keep doing their thing. It's all up to the guys behind them to bring it back. And they won't want to leave it too much longer because they've got a fair bit of work to do at this stage.
Yeah, and we'll try and pick up a few of those colours because in numbers there, it's a little bit of a change around towards the front. First time we've seen that for some time here as they go through. Rider 107, 106, they're the first two as they get the indication. So Oliver Sims brings them through. Kane Foster second across the line. How are we looking, Marty? What was that?
34 seconds. So the front two are still going away, really. And I've got to say, the chasing bunch, they don't really look to have it organised, do they?
No, I'd say this is looking very serious for these guys here. Of course, they're only up there for like 30 minutes and a couple of laps. And we are just tick over 21 minutes into the race now. So these three making their move very early on, and I'll tell you what, mentioned it before, beds are for sleeping in, but some of them have gone to sleep on their bikes here, I think, here today, Marty, and decided that they'll wake up maybe later on, but she could be all over, and a bit of a horror dream for one or two of them here, because at the moment, they're just going to be contesting for a bit of a bunch kick, which ultimately won't make the history books. It's the three out in front. They're trying to get their names at the top of the leaderboard, the top of the history books here to take out these National Criterium Championships here in Palmerston North.
Well, at this stage, with those three riders out in front, it won't make the podium because those three riders at this stage have certainly got, they're in a commanding position. They really are.
Absolutely, and they look well and truly into their work. They seem to be very cool, calm and collected with each other and have made the decisions that actually, yeah, no, we're going to ride well together. They seem to be sharing the workload pretty well. And it's a bit of a workload out there, as we can see. We've mentioned before that the wins, as they make their way up the hill, the leading three, are certainly picking up, and as they come up through this finishing straight here, these riders seem to be going into more of a sort of a bit of a headwind, side headwind here through the finishing straights.
Got a couple of shout outs here, Julian. Corey Hartgill, shout out to the Performance Racing boys. It's a shout out from Josh to saying that Oliver Scott would destroy this field if he wasn't a broken man lying in bed. Well, nice work from the Marlborough boys. Big A167 is watching them. Lockie and Finn. Also Clinton Yankee, pump those legs, Jack. Cole Ferringer, shout out to Mark Lowe. We've got Riley Beldham, go Lockie and Finn, and that's bringing us up to date with the people that are watching. There'll be plenty more out there. Love to hear where you're watching from, and great to have the support coming through for riders in the field. So
Reef Roberts bringing in the lead group of three riders there, and he looked very good on it. He has right from the start. As we chucked him in there, we said he'd be one of the pre-race favourites. And a bit of a shake of the head by one or two riders.
Lucas Bimmy leading the peloton through. He won't be enjoying the fact that there's three riders out in front there.
Bernard Pawson down on the inside there in the Pista Corsa colours. There goes one of his teammates going through too. That's Hunter Dalton by the looks of it there, number 93. Now that's a bit of a surprise because they've just made their way down from Auckland, as a number of riders have. And there's another one. 101 going on through. Robert McGinnigan, after being off the front, or at the front of the bunch at least early on the piece. Now we go. Three guys out in front. And the clock is running there at the base of the hill as the breeze continues to play havoc here for both officials and riders alike here, but very warm conditions here in Palmerston North in this second year here, consecutive year of these National Criterium Championships. Of course, not too far away from those National Track Championships, along with those Elite Road National Championships for some of these riders as well. We'll see them down in Timaru, no doubt, to contest that, and then I know a number of them are lining themselves up to contest at the Oceania Track Championship. So busy times ahead, but in the meantime, it's all focused to try and shut down this lead group of three, and I don't know, it's just not looking like it at this point in time.
No,
Marty.
that gap's out to 40 seconds now, so they're still going away, those boys out in front. They put, if that's their strategy, if those three boys, if that was the strategy at the beginning to get out in front and put the pressure on the rest of the riders, well then this is just unfolding perfectly for them.
Heading up towards the top of the hill here, looks like Lachlan McNabb there in the red colours is leading them through. 110, that's Finn McKenzie. He's in the TES colours. Steve Keaston, the team down home, down in Invercargill. They'll be frothing at seeing those colours out the front there. Always a well-performed team in the SBS Bank Tour of Southland. And, of course, I've got the man that we mentioned right from the get-go, 100, Reef Roberts. Off the front here and looking pretty serious with it. But I must say, all three of them looking relatively comfortable. You know, some riders, they give it away, but don't they, Marty, in the faces there, just how it's feeling. Some guys can look like they're in a lot of pain, but really could be the old poker face going on for one of the two of them. I mean, Reef Roberts, I must say, looks the guy that's at the moment is got the calmest look about him here. He's all focus.
Yes, I think composed is the word, Julian. They're looking very composed, those three out in front. We've got the watch running. So it was just on 40 seconds last time check. We've got the riders coming into view now, and it's looking like the gap might have gone out even further.
So riders, 40 seconds riders.
So still 40 seconds. So the two riders out in front, they're holding that advantage. Race time coming up now to 26 minutes and 45 seconds. So time is ticking away if the peloton want to be part of the action.
And of course, speaking of action, we've got the elite women's race coming up at 1:30, so we're not too far away from that either. 45 minutes plus 3 laps for them, 3 sprints. And hopefully we'll catch up with maybe one or two of the riders even prior to the start of the racing. And those watching the live streaming, we'll try and catch up with each of the winners at the conclusion of their racing as well.
Well, Finn Edwards tells us to shout out to Go Pista Corsa. Thanks, Finn. Great to hear from you.
So the field continue to be whittled down here a little bit, and there is quite a few of the Pista Corsa guys on the front there, but they're just not making any significant inroads to those lead three. And no doubt there's a few teammates out there around the course giving that lead three guys some calls, as well as the guys in the peloton, just informing them what's going on here. If they want to get in contention here to be on the podium, they know they're going to have to really start to stir things up fairly soon if they want to see what's the action looks like at the front of the race, because at this moment in time, as we've said time and time again, so 2 races remaining after this, 1:30 for the elite women and 2:30 for the elite men. Then we'll have all the prize givings here for you here today to see who receives those respective national jerseys. Of course, a few of them already been decided with the under-17 boys earlier this morning. Under-17 girls and under-19 women are all sorted. A few more of our elite riders now starting to roll around. And that's in preparation for their respective races here, which aren't too far away. As we see our lead three come through the finishing chute here again. And it's Roberts on the front here. He's the smallest of the 3 figures there. Tucked down nice and low 100s. And then you got McKenzie tucked in behind, so he's in 3rd place. And McNabb, he's the man right in the middle. Lachlan McNabb, 119. So no real changes here, except for the bit of an order as they come through. So it would indicate that they're trying to share the workload around so that not just one rider ends up doing all the hard yards into the headwind. As you can see, the flags blowing here in the finishing straight. Marty's got the clock running. And we'll see what they can produce here. Already, nearly 43 seconds. And you can see them. They spread themselves across the road a bit, indicating things are easing on off here. So riders, around 43-second gap here. And a cat and mouse going on between just a couple of the teams, I think, there, Marty, and that which is not helping factors. Meanwhile, a few of the individuals out there, and that, really, they've really got to take this race by the scruff of the neck if they want to get themselves in the mix. They can't rely on other teams who are busy just playing a bit of the cat and mouse amongst each other.
Yes, you've got to wonder at what's going on through the minds of the peloton, because it is teams racing after all. You'd think maybe one or two of the teams would have got their act together, decide to work together to pull these guys out in front and take their designated riders with them, but they're not cohesive at all, Julian. Unless something major changes, I think we've got the 3 podium places out in front now.
No, absolutely. Nothing seems to be changing dramatically, except for the fact that the time seems to be pushing out by a few more seconds each of the laps. And we seem to be seeing a few more riders just peeling off the back of the course as well. So things being reduced down all the time here. As Dalton rolls through once again. And we see, here we go on the screen, the peloton heads through. And it's the Pista Corsa colours there. If you're new to it, they're the red, the blue, the white sort of colours there that are trying to get themselves into some sort of an order. But speaking of order, these 3 have got it sorted. And on the front, Reef Roberts brings them up towards the hill here. Lachlan McNabb there in the red colours. He's a second man. There's the flag indicating it. And so we'll see them come on around into the finishing straight. Any moment now as the lead motorbike does its job. Done a good job ensuring the riders are kept nice and safe here for it. This is a rider who's going to be lapped very shortly. We cast our eyes back further, and here they go. It is the man out in front, Lachlan McNabb here in the red colours. We'll just pick them on up. We've got 1 or 2 spectators just blocking the view there. So 2 laps to go. 2 laps to go, folks, here for these riders. Reef Roberts tucks into the second spot there. Mackenzie, the TES colours, 110. These guys rolling well together, and yep, definitely I would suggest there. Well, when you think it's just under 2 kilometres a lap here, that's 4k left of racing here, Marty, and these guys are fast approaching up around over 40 odd seconds, aren't they? So it's really looking like these boys here will just do the wash up. We would typically say in the minor placings, but there's one rider who's decided to go off the front. Now, they're going to have to bury it, and why not? And that you've got nothing to lose now.
Yeah, well, these riders have got 2 laps to make up 56 seconds. I think that's too big a ask, really, without putting too fine a point on it. I think they may have missed the boat. Yeah, I think really they're just now relying on the fact that they would hope that there's a bit of cat and mouse happening up with those 3 in front there. And it looks like number 107, Oliver Sims, with 2 laps to go, has exploded out of the peloton. Maybe 1 or 2 others also trying to do the same, but with just under 4 kilometres to go, he's going to have to absolutely power into it. But as I said, hopeful that these 3 guys out in front start to look at each other, start to play the cat and mouse here game. But when you've got that sort of a gap, you've got a little bit of breathing space. But we've seen it before, and that's where, particularly in these sort of short, sharp efforts, these style of criterium racing, where you can get yourself caught out when you're all concentration for the sprints, and the gap there can be closed down by a chasing peloton very quickly. But I'm with you, Marty, as we've said all day long. I think these guys are looking fairly comfortable on it at this point. Yeah, they certainly are, Julian. We've got a couple of shout-outs here, one from Josh for Lucas Bimmy, and also Clark Jamison for Let's Go Reef. Somebody's asked for who won the other events. Well, we'll just bring you an update on that once this race has concluded. Yeah, absolutely. We can certainly mention that. I just got some names in front of me. David Kwan took out the under-17 boys in an excellent sprint from Harry Shannon. But as Marty said, we'll bring you those full results. They are available online if you go to the web scorer of the
site there, webscorer.com, top left-hand side, and go find races, find results, New Zealand Criterium Nationals 2024. They'll have the full results up for you as they go through every, the end of every race. It'll be just straight up onto there, available for you to check on out. Nina Wall took out the under-17 girls and from Poppy McIver, but more importantly, here we go, because we are into the concluding stages. There's our 3 riders, 1 lap to go here, and they're starting to lick their lips here. There's a bit of excitement, a bit of tension in amongst the 3 leading riders here. They know now this is all on for the 3 of them. They've got a 1 in 3 chance of becoming the national champion. She's going to be all on.
Yeah, it's getting exciting here, Julian. I just like the look of Reef Roberts. Reef Roberts, as he went through that time, he looks very focused and very composed, really. I think he's certainly not losing sight of what it's all about.
No, in this main bunch now, they're starting to attack each other, but man, they've left that far too late here. It's to no avail. And that as they come through in 1s and 2s here up the finishing straights. But our top 3, they'll be heading down they'll be starting to approach the base of the hill.
Well, those 2 riders are at 49 seconds, so they've managed to gain a little bit of time back. But the rest of the field coming through, and it's gone a minute, so these guys are going backwards.
We just asked a couple of these Black Magic riders if you could just move off into the grass, please, so we get a clear vision through here, the finishing area.
Ladies, mind moving just over that way, please, just so we've got a clear shot. 64.
So the peloton came through at 1 minute 10, so they're still going backwards there, Julian.
Let's move that way a wee bit.
All right, folks, we're heading through for the next grand finale here at these National Criterium National Championships here in Palmerston North. Wellington's anniversary day, so a great crowd have come down from all over the place here to experience some fantastic racing here around the circuits of Massey University. And we have 3 riders out in front. Nothing's changed over the last half hour. As we said, the bunch attacking themselves here into the base of the hill. We can see they're chasing 2 riders, so the leading 3 out in front. We've got Mackenzie, we've got McNabb and Roberts. They are the 3. They're going to try and line themselves up for the sprint finish. And we'll get the out the camera. Here it is now. Great timing coming up towards the rise here, and the 3 of them. It's got the big man, McNabb, sitting on the front. He's been given the job of the motorbike. He's got Mackenzie tucked in behind Tim. Roberts in third wheel. They're lining themselves up like she's a 3-up track sprint here at the moment, folks, as they start to approach the closing metres here of this under-19 Men's National Criterium Championships.
Get through quickly, please.
Here they come now. Up around the corner comes the lead motorbike.
Richard, just move that way, please.
Here we go, the sprint is on, folks, and it looks like we might have Roberts trying to challenge, but he's got a big challenge coming on the outside. Oh, it's going to be a tight one, and I think in the TES colours, he could have done it. Finn Mackenzie may have been just too strong as he come off the wheel on the outside of it, closest to us on the commentary side here. It could well be the nod of approval for Finn Mackenzie over Reef Roberts. Very tight indeed. Lachlan McNabb will secure the bronze medal, but a strong sprint finish here over the closing metres here, Marty.
Yes, it looks as though Reef Roberts probably went first, but Lachlan McNabb, Finn Mackenzie, he managed to just roll them towards the end. That's how I pick it.
Here should be a tight finish. They'll be looking to the cameras to decide it here. Here comes our 4th and 5th across the line, folks. Would you welcome them to the finish line here? These guys went too far off the mark in the ends, but just left it very late to make their efforts known. With Oliver Sims and co, here comes the remnants of the bunch, and there's not too many of them here to conclude their day's racing, but really it was all about 3 men out in front. And from our angle, we'd just about give that nod to 110 Finn Mackenzie, but that's why you've got the A-team on there for the judges. They'll confirm that for us in a moment. May we get the thumbs up? I'm glad we're agreeing all day here, Glennis. It's excellent. On the same page. So there you go, folks. Finn McKenzie, 110, gets first place across the line. That would be for a very tight win over Reef Roberts into second place, and Lachlan McNabb will secure third here in the under-19 men's National Criterium Champs here in Palmerston North, and very shortly we hope to catch up with Finn McKenzie. And no doubt he's got a few words to say about how the racing went out there, but what an outstanding ride, Marty, to take it on. And that's right from the get-go, as they pretty much went very early on in the piece here and never looked back.
No, they did never look back, and maybe that's the tactic for the day. Get out early and just give it heaps. These three guys out in front, they looked as though they'd come to some sort of arrangement anyway, whether they talked about it or just decided, well, the podium's for us. We'll leave the sorting out of first, second and third right till the very last lap. But once they decided to go away, they stayed away and just built and built until they had a lead really that was just too big for anyone to chase down.
Well, Marty, we're quite a little bit surprised in terms of the way in which that was raced, and we talked about it, didn't we, that those under-19s would be very much on from the get-go. They kicked off pretty reasonably quickly there, but then just seemed to be in cool, calm, collected mode. So Elite Women can now start assembling, please, in the starting straights here, into the start-finish straights. So Elite Women, please, now to that area.
So race time now 1:25. This next event, the Elite Women, due to go in 5 minutes time at 1:30. They'll be racing for 45 minutes plus 3 laps. Sprints at 10, 20 and 30. Of course, just repeating, the sprints don't account towards the finisher result. It just gives them a chance to get a bit of pocket money and to return it to their sponsors. The Bank of Mum and Dad, no doubt, would certainly appreciate some of that coming back in their direction.
So if we've got Finn McKenzie, can't be too far away from coming around as they just roll down at the end of their race. So if someone's about with Finn, if they could just send them along here and we'll catch up with him, the latest national champion. So Elite Women now onto the start line. Very good fields here. We'll talk about them very shortly as we try and catch up with the winner of the under-19 men.
Here we've got a couple of the place getters from the gravel and tar, which happened in this part of the world on Saturday. And second place in gravel and tar in the Elite Women, Sammy Maxwell, she's in the field today. And Charlotte Clark was third. She was also riding gravel tar. Michaela Drummond, she was in the chasing group. I think she finished fifth. So some of those riders backing up after a race on Saturday. Good to see Kim Cadzo in the field. She's wearing her EF Education colours, so that's the pink helmet and the pink jersey. Always a rider to keep your eye on.
Another shout out if we've got Finn McKenzie about, please, if he could make his way down to the commentary area. It's any support crew out there for Finn. We just send him along here to catch up as we're getting prepared here for this Elite Woman. They're getting their final instructions here from Mike Sim, one of the commissaires here of the day. They're dotted all around the course, of course, to ensure that everyone sticks within the rules.
Well, plenty of support for the winner of that last event coming through over in the comments, Julian, for Reef. Come on, Marlborough. So we've got Riley, Beldam, Clark Jemison, Hayley Corey. Great for you to put your support through. It's really tremendous. And those three riders that took out first, second and third, it was a tremendous performance, a commanding performance. What was that? 64, what was the other number? 59?
59.64.
59.
59.64.
Yep. 70's Green Monkey.
Yeah, this is going to drop it off.
Sorry, what was those last two numbers, mate?
Second time later.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
See you later.
Charlotte Waters.
Oh, look at him, he's stripped down already. Nice race.
Well done, mate.
Come on around here, we'll do it.
They're pretty fast, so they'll probably come along.
So the women have got underway. So Julian, you've got the man of the moment with you, winner of the under-19 men's criterium.
I certainly have. Thank you very much, Marty. Finn McKenzie, of course. Well, looking at standing here, it's looked like she was pretty hot and humid out there.
Yeah, no, she's pretty hot. It's been good having some warm days down the summer in the Sounds. You know, just I've been training for coast to coast, so I've been running in the heat and stuff as well, which I think's been really good for my respiration system and that. So, yeah, pretty happy with my performance today.
Now, of course, we were surprised to see that a break was allowed to get away, and particularly early on. Were you as equally surprised out there?
I was surprised we did get away and put a decent gap in, but yeah, me and my mate Lockie, who got third, sort of what we had planned to try and do to break this race up. We know a few strong track boys in there, so as long as we made it as hard as possible for 20 minutes, we should be right.
And how were the conditions out there today? As we noticed, certainly in this gazebo here started to levitate in the wind. So what was it like for you guys?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a lot of wind to play around in there today, especially on that back straight down the downhill. You know, you're sort of looking for a rest, but you can't really find it. I actually found it easier going up the hill through the shade, so yeah, got a bit of a rest there before the sprint, and then played a few games along the flat and just managed to come from behind and just overtake Reef for the win.
Now we know it's you as a rider that does all the training, all the racing, but you've got a pretty big support crew, and online here there's a few shout-outs going on as well, and that's for you during the race there, so this is your opportunity. You've got a few people to thank.
Yeah, massive shout out to firstly Warren. You know, I only asked him a week ago if could come up with them, and always really accommodating. Me and Lockie have been really good mates throughout the years, went to primary school and that together, so got a good relationship with them. And yeah, just mum and dad, you know, continuous support, money, bikes. It's you have to have deep pockets in this sort of world, and yeah, I'm thankful for them.
And how special is this 2024 to kickstart it for the year to be a national champion?
Oh, it's awesome, mate. Yeah, you can't beat it.
Well, congratulations, outstanding effort. Love the sprint there at the finish there. It was a tight one. Congratulations on taking out the under-19 title. Folks, would you give it up for our new champion, Finn McKenzie?
Thanks, Finn. Well, we'll have the women's field coming past us shortly. Julian, looks like we've got another couple of cameras online.
I tried to catch it on my foot for you. To take the all.
So just taking him through there is Kim Cadzo in the pink colours of EF Education, professional team that she rides for in Europe.
Yeah, this is an interesting field. We've talked a little bit, you and I, Marty, about the background to a lot of these riders here, and we just heard it there with Finn. He's been out doing a bit of running, and some of these guys involved in triathlon, coast to coast, mountain biking, and we've seen it over a number of years now. There's those sort of riders, or those athletes, I should say, can cross across to the various sporting disciplines here and perform exceedingly well. Now, there's a good example right on the front now in the pink colours, riding for the EF Education Cannondale women's team here. Now, she just hasn't bought that at the local bike shop. She is actually going to be riding for them this year. That is Kim Cadzow. Now, Kim comes from a very interesting background. She's very early into the sport, really, but has had a rapid rise into it, as we've seen over just the last couple of years. At 22 years of age, last season, she rode for the Jumbo Visma team. She's crossed over now to the EF Education Cannondale team. In fact, this is probably her first race for the season, so no doubt they're tuned in. A shout out to them. Of course, they've supported a number of New Zealand riders, the likes of Tom Scully as an example, who rode for them for a number of years. But Kim herself, with her background, and that, as we just heard from our previous winner, you've got to have deep pockets. It's a difficult sport, one to get into at times, but more to maintain if you're going to get to the top level. And she talks about in an interview in the past there that she's had a number of different jobs so that she could get herself over in her first ever campaign back in 2020 overseas to be exposed to the big teams. She's been a lifeguard, a barista, a landscaper, even salmon fishing farm she's worked on as well. And that's, she got into a bit of triathlon, did a couple of those, but very quickly saw the light and realised that, hey, this road racing, this is for me, this is something I want to take part in here. And she's certainly been a very good performer just in a couple of seasons on the road. Very good climber, very strong, time trialling sort of mode. I saw in action down at Southlands with the one of the tours down there with the Vital Signs tour. And a big shout out for the guys at Vital Signs. And that's where we saw Kim only a couple of seasons ago, where she rode in the C grade / women's grade and literally rode away from the field on every single stage there. She couldn't actually hang around for the final stage. She had to get back to Queenstown, jump on a plane and head to the Oceania Championships. So this is a rider who, if they are allowed to get off the front, could be dangerous things there. They won't necessarily be so concerned with her in a sprint finish, but she will be just seeing what she can do out there, and probably one of her only ever criterium racing over the last couple of years.
Yes, Julian, another rider to keep an eye on is Sammy Maxwell. She was second in Gravel and Tar on Saturday, and the under-23 Cross World Motorbike Champ. She likes to light it up. There she is, I think, on the front. Yes, just next door to Kim Cadzow. She doesn't like to hang around. She'll go all day. She'll want to light it up at some point. So we'll have some interesting dynamics here. And I think an interesting comment of yours that a lot of the riders these days, they also do a lot of cross training. They're doing running. They're doing cyclocross. They're into mountain biking and what have you. And we see that right up at the sharp end of the sport, up at World Tour level, where you've got the likes of Van der Poel and the guy from Jumbo Visma, just his name escapes me at the moment.
Yeah, and Peter Sagan, great example in that mountain biking, which he's gone back to, his love of that as well, as he comes towards the twilight of his career as well. But you're right, there's quite a mix there, and makes it for interesting, particularly for us as commentators, just the backgrounds. And I know you mentioned she was a cross motorbike champion. She rides like she's on a motorbike, but cross mountain bike champion there back in Scotland last year is Sammy Maxwell. And you're right, she would be one of the serious contenders here if they allow her to get off the front. I mean, she absolutely annihilated them back in Scotland last year over the 6 laps of the course there for the World Championships. And today, if they allow her to get off the front, the likes of her, Cadzow and so, they could be serious contenders there. Maya Barclay in there, 13th in the Gravel and Tar just recently, rides in the Black Magic women's cycling team, and of course they've got a large contingent of riders here, so they've got a few options available to themselves. And let's not forget, in the black colours, she was 4th in the Gravel and Tar. She does a lot of racing, particularly in the United States and Canada, is Riley McMullen. And that's one of the taller figures in the very dark black colours. She'll be easy to pick out in amongst the fields. Michaela Drummond, of course, very well performed. 5th in the Gravel and Tar just a few days ago. Of course, it's a good benchmark for us to give us an indication at least of some form, and that's coming into the early season here. Kaya B&B Hotel team, as she rides for in Europe. There's a number of these riders, when you look up their resumes, and that's doing a lot of racing through the States, through Canada, and across the Europe as well. But of course, also opening up over the last few years, Marty, a lot of these riders also racing not only in Australia but across Asia as well, with some top racing happening there as well.
Yes, indeed, and I take my hats off to these women that get and race overseas, because you know, I suppose it's a bit of a gnarly subject, but the parity between men's racing and women's racing, there's, from a financial point of view, there's daylight between them, really. So some of these girls will be doing this sort of thing, or some of these women will be doing this sort of thing on an absolute shoestring.
You're absolutely right, but good to see, though, with a number of the major races these days. Like a lot of the sports, they're trying to equate that and ensure that the same sort of prize money is up for grabs. And, of course, also what's available now for a number of these women here is the opportunity to ride in Grand Tours as well. We just see it in the Tour Down Under just recently. We can see it now. They even have one for the Tour de France and so forth. So it's opening up all the time and is growing very quickly as the whistle goes, indicating the first of the sprints. Number 59 heads on through there, leading them. That's Charlotte Clark. And then she's in the Black Magic team. Kadzo was the one in the pink colours that was heading through as well. Keep those comments coming on through. Shout outs for your respective riders. Let us know where you're watching from, folks. It's live now, live streaming. And they picked up another couple cameras out on the course for us as well to bring these great shots. And it is Kadzo who's on the front there in the EF Education team. And you can see very quickly, Marty, this field is being reduced down. We can see a Black Magic. They've got a couple of riders in amongst it there. McMullen there in the black colours. He was singing about fifth wheel as they approach down to the base of the hill.
Yeah, well, I'm wondering if what's going through Kim Kadzo's mind is that I may not have the best sprint in the world. So let's make the pace tough. Let's toughen up the race and blow a few people out the back and see who's going to stick with me, and then reassess. See, we've got... oh no, I thought that we had a bit of a break there, but no, there are riders starting to feel the pace though, one or two that are dropping off the back. Sammy Maxwell is there at the pointy end as they start to climb up the hill. When the road goes up, so does she, and she goes up very quickly indeed.
Let's chuck in there Georgia Simpson, of course, as well. Local lass, and that's she'll know this course extremely well. No doubt it's been around it a few times. And that's Georgia, been doing a lot of racing overseas. And, of course, she also contested at the Road World Championships in Scotland, and that before heading ultimately over to the Junior World Track Championships, which he had to sort of wait a little bit for a bike to arrive. But sort of got mislaid. I think he ended up coming back through Canada and that, but eventually made it to Colombia, where the Junior World Track Championships were held last year. And we've got a few of those representatives racing here today, both in the women's and in the men's. And of course, as we've mentioned earlier on today, Marty, some of these riders have stepped up from under 19. This will be their first ever elite national championships as well. So no doubt, a few nerves out there as we see a number of colours starting to struggle up the climb here as the winds continue to buffet these riders, making life very challenging. It's not a massive climb, far from it, but how it does drag out a bit there, and just that bit of an incline after the speeds are going down the back straights is making life just a little bit more challenging for these riders. But it's Kadzo here in the pink colours, as you said. Well, no, sprinting is not her top priority here, so she'll be trying to reduce this field as we'll try and pick up numbers.
So taking them across the line again is Charlotte Clark, and in the West Coast North Island colours, for those of you that are familiar with them, the white and the green. Rider 62, that's Michaela Drummond. She was sitting in at third wheel there. I've got to say, for the elite women's field, Julian, if you go back 20 years or more, the average age group in a women's field would be quite a lot more than what it is today. The women that are riding at elite level are getting younger and younger, or riding at this level at a younger age, and that's good to see. Used to be the theory was that you sort of had to get to 30, 35 before you were in your prime. I think that theory is being thrown out the window with the passage of time.
Yes, as we mentioned early on, I just can't remember if we were live at that stage with the streaming, and that's a number of 19 and 18-year-olds, about 9 of them, I think, total for the World Tour level this year. So certainly a big change around here as we look to the screen. Looks like this could be a chasing group, and that's, I think, in a bit of disarray, though, the field here. There's about 9 riders off the front. Here's the lead motorbike. This will give us an indication. I think I picked up 8 to 9 riders now at the front. We've mentioned a few of them for you as they lead round. Black Magic looks like the riders are going to lead them through into it. They've got 2, maybe even 3 riders, which, as we know well in the sport, you've got the numbers available to you in your team, then you've certainly got more options available to you as well in terms of how the race is going to be contested here. As looks like there it is. Yeah, that's the second group on the road, folks. If you see that on the screens, the 4 riders that are chasing, but I would suggest these 8 or 9 riders off the front are going to be the ones who have now got a decent gap as we see another group of 3. But no, we've definitely reduced down dramatically here, and we'll try and secure all those numbers for ourselves here as they come through the next time here into Palmerston North here at the Massey University for this fantastic day's worth of racing for these New Zealand Criterium Championships. We can check out all the results online. They're already up there from the previous races. We've had all those respective races there. First race up of the day was the under-17 boys, which saw David Kwan of Auckland Grammar Boy, taking out the sprint finish, and a good sprint there indeed to win that under-17 title here for the day.
Well, Julian, yes, those results can be seen on webscorer.com. Go up to the top left-hand corner, click on Find Races, click on Find Results, and then the New Zealand Criterium Nationals 2024, click on them and you'll get the results as soon as they're posted. And it's a big thank you to the sponsors or the people that have made today's event possible, the Palmerston North District Council and Massey University. A big thank you to them, also to Glen, Kirk Oral Surgery. He is the person that's put the prize money up for the preems today, so a big thank you to him. And we've got a reduced bunch coming through the start-finish line now. Kim Cadzo takes them through, and Riley McMullen next to her, so the field certainly has thinned out a little bit that time round. Also acknowledgement of Green Monkey, Daniel Carruthers, We Do Custom, Faster Than You Can Ride. Daniel's got a stand down there where you can look down and go down there for a bit of a look at some of the jerseys and things that he's got on offer. There's also some Korean food and coffee to be had down there, so folks, there's no need to go hungry today at all. It's all catered for you here, and we've got the chasing bunch just coming through now. But I think the front of the race, I'll stick my neck out and I'll say the front of the race has gone.
No, I'll go with you as well there, I think, Marty. And I possibly picked up 68 as one of the other numbers, which is just hard to there. Shaylee Pidcock, and that's number 68. But we'll keep an eye out again when they come back through. But we've mentioned a number of those riders in there. 62, Michaela Drummond would certainly be one of the serious contenders in there. Sammy Maxwell, as we said, world mountain bike champion. And amongst the mix there, number 51. But so quite a cross-section of riders, quite a cross-section of what backgrounds they bring into this criterium racing here as we see them now coming through here. Now, of course, there'll also be a bit of a cross-section of experience, I should say, in amongst these riders as well. As we've said, some of these riders, they don't do a lot of criterium racing, so others with a bit of track backgrounds, with a bit of criterium backgrounds here, may well use that to their abilities there, may use that to their efforts to try and push those riders towards the front and towards things such as the headwind. So it'll be interesting to see, and that's how things sort of transpire there as well in terms of positioning with those with a bit more experience in the crit racing. As we looks like that's our leading group. We'll just try and pick them up. The giveaway is when you see the pink colours. I think would be our easiest way to look at it, and that with the EF Education rider there, Cadzo, and that's now originally I think out of Taupo from memory, and that is where she's from. As we see them capturing one or two riders here, so we'll have to watch that with a few lap riders now starting to appear on the screens around the course as they come up towards the finishing straight here. But this lead group, there we go, the pink colours, the dead giveaway, pink helmets, pink colours. That is your lead group currently here.
Yes, I just heard you say that name, Pidcock, before. Tom Pidcock, Walt Van Aert, Matthew Van der Poel. Those are 3 riders, of course, at the top here, but the thing they have is that they come from quite a broad background of experience when they're racing at the top level. Not only just pure road riders, they're involved in mountain biking and in cyclocross, etc.
Now, just a quick shout out the place getters, the top 3 in the under-19 men. We've got a pair of sunglasses here that belong to one of you. Now, here we go. We'll get the numbers again for us.
53, 51. Then Cadzo only got 3. But Sammy Maxwell, she was right at the front there. She's looking very comfortable. In fact, most of the riders in that bunch look pretty comfortable at this stage.
No, they're looking pretty cool, calm and collected, these guys. The ladies have now got themselves the gap and now just settling into it there. They've established their first major goal, which was to try and reduce the field, and they've done a good job of that. But now you've got a mixture in there who have got some good sprinting legs on them, and others who are very good time trialists and don't mind going uphill either. So it's quite open here at the moment. And it's McMullen there in the dark colours in the screens. She's sitting at about third wheel. She's looking very strong with it as they went through. As we see in the finishing straight here, the chasing peloton, or at least the second group on the road. I don't know if there's too much chasing going on there, Marty. They look like they're pretty much settled in for the day's racing. They're going a pretty similar pace, which of course will mean that they're not going to make any great inroads to that lead group.
No, well, we've seen that in the race before, Julian, that if you're not up the front early on and a bit of pace goes on, then you know, you're rolling round really. You're in the second bunch. We'll see if we can get a watch on them this time as they come through and give you some idea of the gap, but I'd say it would be somewhere around about 45-50 seconds.
And of course it brings that old adage, and out of sight, out of mind, and that's certainly what is happening here in this criterium as we see the lead group come up over the hill, and it's Kedzo who's positioned herself on the front doing a lot of work. Now it'll be interesting to see what that does. Is that going to work against her or for her here in terms of trying to determine the speed? And, you know, some riders are quite happy to be up towards the front. So a few more shout-outs going onto it, onto the screens here. So folks, if you're watching on the live footage on the live streaming here, the team bringing you various shots from around the course, and they're doing a great job of it here today. And then if you just want to let us know where you're watching it from across Aotearoa or across the world here for these New Zealand Championships, it'd be great to hear from you. You got a shout-out for your team, for your riders. More than welcome to chuck that up there. If you're enjoying the commentary, our names are Julian and Marty. If you're not, we're Bob and Mark. In the second to last race of the day. And that's the elite woman. And it's been a big day's worth of racing. 11 o'clock start after the 10:30 original one for the under-17s. They threw the 3 under-17 girls into the under-19 race, 2 separate races, but with such a small field. Made more of a race for it for all of the competitors concerned. It's a great experience for those under-17s. Here we go. Lead motorbike comes through once again. And the time is ticking by. And it's in this race here, of course, underway at 1:30 as Kedzo brings them through. Then it's the West Coast and North Islands with Drummond sitting in the second spot. McMullen in the black colours, tucked in right towards the rear of the group. Sammy Maxwell also tucked into the middle of the group there for them at this point in time. So on the screen, got the chase group happening here, but as we said, I think they've decided to the fact that their race could be all over here for the day. In fact, they potentially could be under a bit of threat if they continue along this way, maybe even being caught, but they're pretty steady with it at this moment in time. But there's our lead group. So it looks like 2 making out good clear shot there of 2 of the Black Magic cycling team into the mix there. As they drop down here into the base of the hill. You see the traffic island there, which puts a bit of a squeeze on. Oh, there you go, got an extra rider on the course. It's a bit of TV time as they come down towards the base. Here's we see on the finishing straights the remnants of that peloton.
Well, we've got a time gap there, Julian. The chasers are at 1:05. So unless something rather special happens or rather extraordinary happens, I think we've got the 6 riders out in front who are going to fight for the 3 placings.
Yeah, absolutely. As McMullen starts to make her way towards the front of the group as she's in third wheel, coming up the hill.
So it'll be interesting to watch Michaela Drummond here, Julian. She was looking pretty comfortable as she goes through. I think her tactic will be to just hang in there because she knows she's got a pretty fast kick at the end, and she'll certainly be one that's hard to beat if it comes down to an out-and-out sprint.
Absolutely, and the riders will be well aware of it. She's got a lot of experience coming into the racing here, Drummond, and would certainly be one of the serious contenders for this particular race here. Welcome along, Danielle Donaldson, watching from Wanaka, down in the deep south central Otago region. No doubt it'll be nice warm conditions down there, Danielle, just like it is here right in Palmerston North here today. And they had very hot conditions. Of course, Marty, you were doing tour radio the other day, and that for the women's race for the gravel and tar. What was it, about 35 degrees that the riders were contending in?
Oh, it was very, very warm, humid, and we got showers too towards the end of the day. It was really quite extraordinary weather. Also, hello to Hayley Corey and Campbell McIver. Nice of you to join us. Cadzo goes through, then Maxwell, Michaela Drummond in there at fourth wheel. So they know they've probably got a decent, well, they do know they've got a decent time gap on the chasers, that it's coming down to the 6. They look as though they're just eased the pace off a little bit.
Now, just had word, never a nice thing to hear, but there has been an accident down near the base of the hill, so we'll try and bring you up to date with who was involved in that there. So I was just sort of looking at the numbers that came through there and was wondering if we might have been missing 1 or 2 riders. But we'll pick that up. 2 riders I did pick up was well-performed Charlotte Lucas, rider number 60, and number 59, Charlotte Clark. So they're 2 of the riders that are in this lead group here as they head down towards the base of that hill. We've got a great medical team on board here to support these riders, but never a nice thing, but we know it's all part of racing.
Oh, that's not good news to hear about Charlotte Clark, as if she was one of the people that came down, were you saying, Julian? She was pretty well performed in the gravel and tar. There was 3 riders. No,
she's actually in the lead group there, but
okay.
I just wondered if there was maybe a couple from that lead group. It just seemed to have been reduced slightly, but we'll just try and we'll pick that up for folks back home as we see number 66, 61 going on through. 66 being Maya Barclay and Georgia Simpson in that chase group.
Well, that's good to hear that Charlotte Lucas is number confirmed in that front group, because she was pretty well performed in the gravel and tar on Saturday. There was really 3 riders that it came down to at the end, and she was one of them. As there was a sprinter there for first, second and third, and then it was about nearly 4 minutes back to the rest of the field, so she should have good racing legs for today.
So those of you that aren't aware of the gravel and tar, it's one of the UCI, which is the international cycling bodies, one of their races here, but run by Steve Stannard and his team here, and a fantastic opportunity for Kiwi riders and riders across the world to contest in and to pick up international points, the UCI points, which allows then teams to be able to basically get some invites to some of the top races in the world. So a great opportunity to do so. And there was both the women's and the men's racing happening just a couple of days ago. As the name suggests, gravel and tar. It's got a mixture of both, various sections available to the riders and some decent climbs that are also on the gravel, which has become a very popular bit of racing as well, with a lot of big events now just purely on gravel as the lead group comes through again. And Maxwell on the front there, the mountain biker, Kedso. Then we go back to McMullen would be the next rider. We just about picked up most of our riders here. I think we've got all 6 of them. Sammy Maxwell, number 51. Then you've got Kim Kedso there in the pink colours, number 56. 59 and 60, that would be Charlotte Clark and Charlotte Lucas. And then you go Michaela Drummond in the West Coast North Island colours, number 62, in the black colours, number 63, Riley McMullen. I think that should just about bring us up to date now with our riders as we try and pick them up, as we said earlier on today. And then a lot of new colours out there. And of course, you get to know some of the different techniques, the different riding styles of riders as well. But of course, some colours stand out a lot easier than others. And also the numbers at times, the riders not always putting them in such a position that they're very easy for both judges, let alone commentators, to pick up on as well. But we look to another shot here. If the riders heading down towards the base of the descent as such, and it's Kedso again that leads them into it. Maxwell sitting on the front. So the former triathletes, the mountain biker, they're the top two. They're going to lead them into the climb. 2:30 start, of course, this afternoon for the elite men, so we're not too far away from them as well.
So it's looking like it might be one of the Mito Q riders that has had that spill down the bottom end of the course there, Julian. G'day to Anissa Hodgson and Danielle Donaldson shouting out, or Danielle shouting out for Michaela Rogan, Kim and Charlotte. Thanks, guys. Nice to hear from you. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're enjoying the racing this afternoon. So, Julian, they've been racing, started off at 1:30, so we're just shy of 2 o'clock. They've been racing for half an hour, so we've got quarter of an hour and 3 laps. What do you think will be going through the minds of those 6 riders out in front? How do you think they'll be seeing or thinking about it from here?
I'd be very surprised if there's not a couple of them there. They're going to try and get themselves off the front. They won't want to necessarily leave this down to just a pure sprint finish here, and they'll be looking for any opportunity of which the riders might just break a little bit, ease off the pressure. Though a couple of them, I would suggest, would like the uphill incline a wee bit just to take full advantage of that, because it's a strong rider's sprint finish here too. It's more so now into a headwind, so that's also going to be coming into the decision making amongst the sprinters. I have to say McMullen's looking comfortable there, sitting in 3rd place, and that, as the whistle indicates, the next one of our sprints. And it looks like we're down to 5 riders. There's one of our riders there, Charlotte Clark, number 59. Looks like she might be just struggling a little bit off the back there. The head's buried a wee bit as they head down into the tailwind section, the downhill, but she might be starting to find the going just a little bit tough here as they approach another one of their sprints. Of course, dollars up for grabs. So rider 69, we understand, Priscilla Thompson from the Mito Q team. And that was involved in a heavy fall there. So, but they got the medical team there with it. So our thoughts go out to her and her friends and family. That she'll be all good. And as the winds blow the paperwork away from us here at the finishing area, we're on the chase to try and capture a bit of that as we see the lead motorbike once again heads through. And that's the lead group now of, and it is just the 5 riders. Oh, there's the 6th one. She's still desperately trying to get herself back into position to try and contest for the finish. So Noah asking us who the break is. We'll repeat those numbers again for you. You've got Sammy Maxwell, number 51. You've got Kim Kedso there in the pink colours for the EF team, number 56. Charlotte Clark and Charlotte Lucas, though it looked like Clark might be just peeling off the back a little bit there. Then you've got Michaela Drummond in the West Coast North Island colours. And in the black colours, Riley McMullen. So you go, Noah. They are the riders that are off the front, and we would suggest are going to be the riders that are going to contest for the medals. That's national title. Of course, the coveted national jersey. They get to win this here today, and they're entitled, of course, then throughout the year at any of the Criterium races they contest in, both here in New Zealand and across the world, which many of them, as we've already mentioned, do race across the world in various teams, will have that entitlement to ride in those colours. And of course, a lot of them with their teams, they'll have that integrated into the colours of their team. So it's worth a lot. It's worth UCI points for them as well, and for their team more importantly. So, and it certainly helps with your negotiations with contracts as well, if you can say that you're the national title holder, as we look to our leading 5 riders coming up the finishing straight here. So our 6th rider, like she might have just struggled there a bit off the back. So heading through, the West Coaster takes them through this time through That's Drummond's. Of course, with the track and road experience on that for her, she'll know how to set herself up for something such as the Criterium Racing. As said, Arkea B&B Hotel. That's the team that she's been riding for. And I'm thinking that's exactly who she's riding for again. However, there has been a few riders who are changing teams going into this year. So again, good shot. Kedzo though, putting some pressure on this time round. So just stretching them out as they come pretty quickly down towards the base of the hill here. And they have to again negotiate that traffic islands. Just another shout out again to our under 19 place getters, our top three. We've got a pair of sunglasses here that apparently belongs to one of you. Otherwise we'll just pass that on to put that on bike shelf, make a few dollars. Here we go. 5 riders hit into the base of the hill here, and Kedzo, as you would expect, now trying to see if she can just stretch this out a little bit here. Endurance Sports Performance shout out going out to Michaela Drummond to be suggesting that she's odds on favourite here, and if they were to come to a sprint finish, would have to agree with you. She would certainly be a serious contender if they allow them to stay as a group such as this. But I think there's one or two riders with different ideas here. They know that they can't just leave it to a sprint finish, so they know they're going to have to look very shortly to try and put some pressure on. Are we going to see a flyer with just closing metres to go? Are we going to see it with the 1 or 2 laps out from the finish, which we're not too far away from either? Before we head into the final race of the day here at 2:30, the Elite Men, which if you haven't caught up on, has been expanded out by a further 5 minutes, now 50 laps. It's got 3 sprints set, 50 minutes at 10, 20 and 30, and there's also a mystery sprint in there as well. So, the chasing group, what's left of the bunch, rolls through once again. And we won't be too far away from seeing the leading group here. And it's a strong group, but as we said, quite a cross-section of different backgrounds, what they bring into this final finale here of this Elite Women's Championship. As the lead motorbike comes through, the flag goes on up. The Denver Disruptors. That is Riley McMullen's US-based team here. She's in the black colours, sitting there in about second last wheel. But it looks like the Black Magic Rider is going to lead them through this time as they start looking at each other. And Charlotte Lucas on the front in the multi-colours there. But there's a little bit of cat and mouse, a little bit of tension in the group. You could feel it this time, Marty, coming on through. Isn't it? It's amazing to see just the difference in the body language, giving it away as these riders start to realise that, hey, actually, we've achieved something here. Now it's all about the big time. Who's going to be able to outdo each other? And more importantly, how am I going to do that?
Yes, I was just watching Sammy Maxwell there. You know, you're not, none of us are mind readers, but I couldn't help feeling that maybe what's going through her mind is when am I going to attack? When am I going to put these guys under pressure? When I'm going to mix it up to put some pressure on? Because there really hasn't been any up until now with this group. They've got themselves away, and so we're moving into the next phase of the race. This is where it gets interesting. This is where it gets exciting.
Absolutely. They're all quite content just to roll together as a group here as we get a shot again on the screen with a little bit of effort going on there with the second group on the roads. But more importantly, what's happening out in front? There we go. Lead motorbike brings them again into the base of the hill. And this live streaming here of this 2024 Cycling New Zealand Criterium Championship. So we'll split it a little bit there. But I think they'll readjust pretty quickly into it. It's a tight sort of a corner to get yourself around here. And it's pleasing to see here today after a forecast of around 27 to 28 degrees, which it's fairly warm right here. The wind has picked up, but the rain has actually stayed away because there was a suggestion there. There was about 50% chance of rain here today, but it stayed away, which that could have made life very interesting after the heat on the road.
So we've got Sammy Maxwell, I think that is at the front. That sort of fairly unique style, just bobbing slightly, bringing them up the hill. But she's looking over her shoulder, and they're all content to look at each other, aren't they?
Yeah, you're right. Even in that chase bunch, same sort of thing there as we got a quick shot of them as well. They're just busy looking at each other, and but no one willing yet to take the race by the scruff of its neck. We can't be too far away from seeing the lap board come out. Of course, they'll have 3 laps to go after their 45 minutes worth of racing. Pretty relaxed in amongst the sprints there, because here they come, the lead group, and yet again it's the pink colours of Kidso, and that's on to the front of the race. And it looks to be Sammy Maxwell, I think, sitting up in the second wheel. She gets out of the seat, does the Fred Astaire. Then you got the likes of Lucas sitting next in line, as we see on the front straight here. The second group on the road, but they're well and truly out of contention now, because in fact they could well be called from the course. In fact, that's exactly what they're doing now. Look at that. Marty, we're on the same page as the commissaires. And we've always said they're an intelligent bunch, so what does that make us?
Well, they always follow what we say over the PA system anyway, Julian, so...
I didn't realise we had that much control. Incredible. Here we go. Here come the leading group, and we are down to 5 riders. Come on, folks, make some noise for your favourites as they come through here. Who is it that's going to take out these national championships? The field has been seriously reduced now as they call from the course for safety reasons. A number of the riders, and we're going to have... we're going to have a 5-up sprint as they head right down the end of that front straights there. They'll drop down to the back straight. You can see someone just walking up towards the corner. They'll come around there, and it's often a very quick point of the race here, and one in which a break can often happen on the attack on a bit of a descent.
Well, if it comes down to a 5-up sprint, I think Michaela Drummond will be pretty happy with that. That's probably what's going through her mind. We can see her there, just going over the speed hump now. She's in there at third wheel. Cadzo, looks like Lucasen behind there. And Sammy Maxwell, was she at third wheel or was it Michaela Drummond? I might have got those two round the wrong way. Might have been Michaela Drummond back at fifth wheel. I don't think she'll be too worried about it coming down to a bunch finish at all.
No, and of course, there's a few of these riders, of course, where every one of them have got various goals throughout the year. For some of them, definitely this will be one of those ones there. For others, they've got other fish to fry later on in the year here, so they'll be in different phases of their training as well. And we've seen that already today with different riders, knowing full well they've got track national championships, Oceania track championships, elite road nationals. Some coming off some racing, such as the Mitre 10 Mega Masterton New Zealand Cycle Classic. Try and say that 10 times quickly. And that's some of the riders coming off from that. The gravel and tar race, of course, as well. And that's so some with a little bit of racing under the belt. Others, this is their first foray out there in the racing for the season here. So it'll take a bit just to find their legs and get back into a bit of a rhythm of racing as they target their respective goals throughout the year. And, of course, this year, big year for a lot of top contenders. Also, Marty, with the Olympic Games.
Yeah, that must be the focus for many of the riders to be in Paris for the track and the road as well. There's also other cycling disciplines, mountain biking and BMX, etc. So this will be one of the first times. No, it's still Cadzo in there at second wheel. Looks like Sammy Maxwell at the front. Yep, it is. She's sort of looking over her shoulder a little bit, wanting to know where everyone is. Well, I can tell you, Sammy, they're right on your wheel.
And it looked like Lucas sitting in about third wheel, so not too much changing in amongst those riders as they come through. And there we go, lead motorbike. We'll bring them on up here into the finishing straight once again. And we'll see what they can produce as they get down to the closing stages here. Here we go, Cadzo towards the front there. And it still continues to be basically her and Sammy Maxwell that seem to be doing a fair bit of the work towards the front. McMullen there in the black colours. Lucas. And then you got Drummond tucked right on the back of the group here. She'll be licking her lips here for a sprint finish. This is just certainly assisting her in that opportunity. But of course, as we said, riders again at different stages of their racing. Anything could happen here today. and they've got to time it to perfection, of course, like in any cycling events, and that's all about position, and it's all about the timing, particularly when it comes to a sprint finish, particularly when it comes in a criterium, and when you've got the added things that you've got to deal with, a bit of headwinds, a bit of an incline they've got there as well, and of course that narrow road as they swing into that hill, and of course let's chuck into something that we haven't really talked about today, is a number of speed humps, Marty, along the way. So quite a unique circuit with those, but they all seem to be handling them pretty well.
Yeah, the speed humps, no one's really mentioned those as being a bit of an issue really, have they, Julian? But just thinking about a sprint finish here, you're coming uphill into a headwind. So, you know, if that's what it comes down to, you're going to have to be patient and just time it right when you go. Go too soon and you're going to get caught. And of course, if you don't go at the right time and you're trying to roll over somebody, you won't quite make it in time. So I think the sprint finish, it's going to be finely judged for the women's event. And if it comes down to if it comes down to that, pretty hard to see somebody putting in a solo attack at the moment, though. But in the men's event, they'll need to judge the sprint pretty finely as well.
Yes, time is certainly running out for anyone that's got any ideas of trying to steal the march on this field. But of course, as we've seen time and time again, you've only got to get it by a few metres. That's all you require coming into the closing stages there. That could be enough to ensure that you take out a national title here for them. And let's not forget that that's a pretty prestigious thing to be able to do here, whether it's the road race, whether it's track events, mountain biking, etc., anywhere where you can win a national title, get that national jersey, as we said, can open up all sorts of doors that's for you when it comes to your development in the sport of cycling. There's see a bit of a car on the circuit here. Hopefully they'll clear that pretty quickly as they come round into that bend there of the hill. And then we'll see the flags going up with the officials here to indicate. Here we go. Lead motorbike comes on up here once again. And not far behind them will be that group of 5 riders, and they are very much still 5 in that involved. So elite men, you can start gathering on the grass area here under the trees and the shade area, and they'll start getting you organised. So elite men are being called now for their briefing. Oh, that vehicle again, going to have another crack at getting across the course. They'll back him right off and clear that way for them. And that's, but no, certainly, it's interesting to see this, Marty. I thought they, you know, by now somebody would try and put some pressure on me. I mean, we saw it last year, didn't we, with a couple of riders who just made sure that they got rid of any potential sprinters.
Yes, indeed, we did, Julian, and here they come towards the finish line. Out in front, really doing all the work. Sammy Maxwell looks across at Kim Cadzo. They get 3 to go, so we're down into the laps to go now. So I'd say at this stage, Julian, I don't know, what do you think? I don't expect any fireworks in the next 2 laps. I think it's going to come down to the last lap.
Well, let's just ask one of the expert guest commentators, James Gardner, to join us here for a second. He give us an insight. What does he think is going to happen as they approach 3 laps to go? The man from Otago, riding for the Mitre Q team. And that's, well, James, you've seen what's happening out there. A bit of a mix, the mountain bikers, the sprinters. What are you expecting?
Well, if the mountain bikers rode it how they did the other day, then, yeah, it would be good to see how the last couple laps play out. I'm not entirely sure how they'll do it, actually. They got me stumped.
And you've checked out this course. There's a bit of a breeze out there today. Could be a bit of a telling factor for these riders.
Yeah, with only one flat straight, it does add in some character to the course. And, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how if it picks up or stays the same when we're racing in a couple of minutes.
Now, I'm going to stop this interview because we might lose a job because you're not too bad at this sort of stuff here. Do you want to stay on the side here with us and we'll jump out on the bike?
I'll give you my skin suit and you'll be right, mate.
If that like was ultra stretchy, then it wouldn't be an issue. But at this point in time, this body's only built for downhill.
Thanks, James, all the best for the Mitre Q team. We'll be out there on option very shortly.
Of course, James taking out stage 2 of the SBS Bank Tour of Southlands back in November. One of a number of riders here who's stepping up into the elite levels here, and I'm sure he's going to do a very good job of it, as a number of these under-19s are today, Marty.
Well, we've got a bit of action coming up the climb this time. Kim Cadzo coming up in third wheel. Looked as though Sammy Maxwell was putting on a bit of pressure, but interesting to hear James Gardner's view, and of course we'll be seeing him in action shortly. but you in the Mido Q skin suit, Julian? Yeah, perhaps not.
No, we'd never put people through that. That would not be good. I'd need a day or two just to get inside the thing. Right. What have we got? 5 riders, and that's nothing changing too much with a couple of laps here to go for these riders. So if you just joined us here, welcome along to the New Zealand Criterium Champs here in Palmerston North at the university here, at Massey University. Great to have them on board again, hosting this fantastic event in its second year on this particular course. 1.98k. Here they come up towards the top of the hill here. It's 2 laps to go, so just a nudge under 4 kilometres as they start to take a bit more hydration on. That's Riley McMullen, who's been looking pretty sharp out there throughout the day's racing. Keep the comments coming on in here. If you want to do a shout out, let us know where you are in terms of watching this racing here. It might have just frozen up a little bit on us here. It's been a while since we've seen something come on up, but we know we've got a number of people from throughout New Zealand and across the world here currently watching all the racing here as they whistle again, indicating the riders coming through. 2 laps to go. Nothing's changed to our lead group. Sammy Maxwell. You got Kim Kadzo there in the pink colours. You got Charlotte Lucas, number 60, in the Black Magic there. We've got Michaela Drummond. You got Riley McMullen. They are the field here in the order, really pretty much exactly the same, but such a difference in terms of the way it's being raced to what we saw last year.
Yes, indeed. We've got 6 riders that are going to contest it, and from last year I've got a feeling that from memory it just came down to 1 or 2, didn't it?
No, absolutely, and that in fact the winner of that then went on to win her first ever UCI International event only days ago with stage 1 there of the Women's Tour Down Under.
Yes, it was Ally Wollaston that rode away, I think, at the end. From memory, there was just 2 of them out in front, wasn't there?
Yeah, Bryony Botha. Yeah, Bryony
that's
Botha. Yeah, unfortunately, New Zealand track squad really not here today, which is sad to see, and it would have added certainly another extra flavour to the racing here. But these 5 are just going to continue here to roll and not really still making any challenges as they drop down the back straight here, and we'll be approaching 2 laps to go.
Yes, it looks as though we're going to have several riders contesting the finish, and they've all got different strengths. I think the longer the race goes on, the harder it will be for the riders that don't quite have the sprint that Michaela Drummond reputedly has. She hasn't done much work at the front, and I guess more importantly, the rest of the field haven't managed to get rid of her. And Kim Kadzo has just been sitting in the middle of the bunch when they come up this climb. She'd been doing a lot of the work at the front. Sammy Maxwell, well, she goes all day. There's only 2 speeds that she knows, and that's give it heaps or not at all, and that's a really great quality in her riding style. It was certainly good for her in the gravel and tar the other day. I heard a few of the women afterwards saying, well, how did you find the race out there? And they just said, oh, well, it was a matter of us just hanging on to Sammy Maxwell. So we've got a shout out here for Noah Granigan, or from Noah Granigan. And Daphne Caragnius, let's go Riley. Daniel Donaldson, right in behind Kim, go Kim. How many laps to go? Well, when they come, it's Danny M's asking. As they come across the finish line this time, I think they will be getting the bell. So 1 lap to go. If you've joined us, you've just joined us in time to see the closing stages of the Elite Women's New Zealand Criterium Nationals here at Massey University. 45 minutes plus 3 laps they've been racing for. They had a sprint at 10, 20 and 30 minutes. That's all behind us now. We've got a bunch of 5 riders, 6 riders out, no 5 riders now out in front, I think. And so, Julian, it's going to come down to the last lap. It'll be who's got the nerve or who backs themselves.
Absolutely, it's all about confidence now. 1 lap to go, folks. Make some noise here in Palmerston North. as they go through for their final lap. And the rider on the front, Sammy Maxwell, leads them through. Kedzo tucked in behind. Riley, and that's McMullen in the black colours, should be the next one. Then you've got the likes of Charlotte Lucas sitting in fourth wheel, and as it has been for a number of laps now there is Michaela Drummond in the West Coast North Island colours, really not changing their lines whatsoever going into one lap to go. And it's, we might have a few moments to even get the insight from Luke Mudgway. Luke, you want to come across here and tell us what you reckon is going to happen before they get round? Of course, he is the defending champion for the elite men's, but he's been watching it here, and hopefully the cord's long enough to get to you.
Yeah, I think Michaela Drummond's probably got a big kick there, so it's going to be hard for these other girls to beat her in that finish. I think Riley's there as well, and she's a track rider too, but looks like the other girls are, they're phenomenal athletes, but they're probably better suited to the climbs. But, it's good to see them coming here and racing the crits, but I think Michaela's got it today.
Well, there you go, folks. He's putting the mortgage on it. If you want to put the bets out there on the TAB, Luke Mudgway's call today. Let's see if it comes true. Thanks, Luke, and all the best for your race very shortly, the defending champion. There you go. So these guys, they all know each other pretty well, of course. Do a lot of training, a lot of racing together. Well, folks, we're not far away as they'll come into their sprint finish. As we look to the cameras coming up the climb here, are we going to see somebody with a bit of a gap? Because if they were going to go there, Marty, that's if there's going to be any sort of a gap, it'll have to happen along there now for the non-sprinter.
Yeah, well, Charlotte Lucas, be interesting to see how she goes in the finale, because we haven't talked about her much. She has looked after herself extremely well, sat pretty much in the middle of the bunch. But I think Michaela Drummond is certainly one of the riders to be watching.
Yeah, of course, Charlotte Lucas well performed at Nationals Championships on the road over the years, but it's Kedzo who's leading them up the hill. There's definitely some more speed being put on there. Maxwell just sort of swinging a little bit towards the back. The mountain biker, the speed of which they're going up there might just be catching off guard a little bit. But folks, we're about to see the sprint finish here, the second to last race of these National Criterium Championships. The elite woman, they're going to come swinging around that corner any moment now. Kedzo with the lead here at the moment, but she's going to give that away down on the inside as we see Drummond start to make a move. Drummond goes. Riley McMullen also in the mix there, but Drummond's going to take it out. Drummond will take the win. Riley McMullen will be next across the line. Then I'd give it to Charlotte Lucas for third across. Maxwell and Kedzo. That's our call from the far side over here. We'll wait to get that confirmed by the judges. But Michaela Drummond, wow. Mudgway will be employed by the TAB now. He knows what he's talking about. He got the odds right there, and Drummond, after getting a dream run for a number of laps there in the West Coast North Island colours, was allowed just to sit there and bide her time waiting for the sprint finish, and came flying down the right hand side here to take herself out. Another national title. She's got quite a few medals to boot over the years across the different disciplines. So 62, 63 and 60 are the order of the day, and that is exactly as we called it.
Yeah, well, interesting enough, Julian, or maybe not considering the course in the race, but the two riders that were at the front most of the time, Sammy Maxwell and Kim Kedzo, who arguably did all the work, towing them all the way around, setting the pace. Well, they were fourth and fifth.
Yes, they certainly put in some hard yards out there today around the course here at Massey University for these New Zealand Criterium Championships. And don't forget, folks, we'll be doing all the presentations at the conclusion of the day, and of course we're not far away from that as we get ready now for the final event of the day, which will be over 50 minutes plus the 3 laps. They've got 3 sprints that are indicated and 1 mystery sprint in the mix as well for a few dollars on the road, but they are calling all elite men now onto the side of the road. So here they'll bring those through, and very shortly we hope to speak with your new 2024 champion as she makes her way up towards the finishing line here, Michaela Drummond. And it's as a few more riders now conclude their day's racing. Charlotte Clark. Now, she was away in that break for a big chunk of the day. So a fantastic ride from her, but just found the going a little bit tough there in the last 10 minutes or so.
And do remember, folks, that you can see all the results on webscorer.com. Go up to the top left of the screen, click on Find Races, click on Find Results, and you'll see New Zealand Criterium Nationals 2024 there. That'll bring you up to date with the official placings.
So a good size field to contest the racing here today as they get themselves all prepared and ready to roll. And we've got our champion. Gosh, he's well. Now this is a true sign of a professional. Straight to the interview. Well, no, you didn't get told, Michaela. You knew you had to be here. We'll get the cameras all set up for you here. And we'll hear an insight here from the winner of the day.
When you're ready.
Right, we're all good to go. Well, congratulations, Michaela. You've got to be pretty stoked with the way that it turned out.
Yeah, I'm really happy with that. It was a big goal of mine to take this jersey to Europe and be able to pull this off. I'm just a bit disappointed I'm not in my team kit, but I'm really excited to ride the jersey with Ikea. So this is really, I'm just so stoked, yeah.
Let's talk a little bit more about this, because there's people in the live stream who are unaware of the sport of cycling, and of course a few here. How important is it to be able to have a national jersey on at events overseas?
It's definitely something really special because, you know, when you're racing, everyone knows that you're the national champion for New Zealand, and I think it's just like, yeah, you have such pride to wear the fern, and yeah, just to bring it to Europe is just going to be so cool, honestly.
And we were shocked that the field didn't go to 5 very quickly like that.
Honestly, no, because Kim was just so strong on the front, pulling and attacking, and she made it a really hard race, and I honestly thought she was going to hustle because she was so strong, but yeah, they pulled the whole way and I kind of just sat on, unfortunately for them, but yeah, I mean, that's just how it is, and I'm a sprinter, so I just have to work with what, my strengths are, so it was a good day.
I don't know if you're aware, but we interviewed with Mudgway and gave you a shout out. He was the odds-on winner. Were you inspired by that?
Oh, thank you, Luke. Yeah, shout out for that one. Love it.
Now tell us about your team that you're riding for. What happens from here for you for racing?
Yeah, so I'm heading over with Arkea B&B, which is a French team. I'm on a contract for this year, and so yeah, I don't go over there until March, because I'm just in the track program at the moment with the goal of the Olympics. But yeah, I'm excited to get racing in Europe and hopefully represent this jersey.
Well, we look forward to seeing that jersey on the TV screen. Folks, you can put your hands together for Michaela Drummond,
the Elite Women's Criterium Champs.
Well, the men are away, Julian, and we've got a pretty exciting looking field here. Be interesting to see how Luke Mudgway goes. He picked the winner in the women's event. Will he be picking himself to defend his title? But just looking at the suntan on his legs, I'd say he's got a few miles in those legs. He hasn't been sort of overly active since the breakup of Black Spoke. Bolton Equities. I'm not too sure what he's been doing since then, but I guess we're about to find out today.
No, absolutely. I think he'll come into this in some pretty good sort of nick. I mean, this is his sort of racing. He loves it, and that we know he's got a very good sprint on him. I mean, we think back to last year, just in early season last year there, where he took out the stage in the New Zealand Cycle Classic. As you said, he's the defending champion here, and that so he knows how to just get himself at the right level early in the season. We've talked about a little bit about that already with riders with different goals at different points in the season, and I'm sure for Luke this will be one of those ones.
Yeah, well, there won't be quite the team dynamic we had last year with Luke, with Black Spoke Bolton Equities, of course. So that won't be present today from a team point of view, but of course Luke may have some alliances, or there's a few group of riders there that have decided to just look out for each other. But one thing's for sure, if Luke Mudgway's in a race, you certainly know he more than likely is going to figure at some point, and usually it's at the business end.
Yes, and we look down the list of starters for today, and it's quite a mixed bag, and that are involved in it here. And it's it's I don't think it's quite as cut and dry as what sometimes some races potentially could be, and that certainly makes it for mouth-watering stuff as we see Craig Oliver. He's the first man to go off the front for the Mitre Q team here, and of course this is a man who's knows how to ride a bike. He's just come off things like of the Gravel and Tar, the New Zealand Cycle Classic, the SBS Bank Tour of Southland. Of course, he won the endurance event for the National Mountain Biking as well. A very well performed mountain bike rider, and of course his brother Ben. And that's he's got the mission here to head off the front right from the start here for the Mitre Q New Zealand Cycle Project team. Now they're in a new set of kits. Great shot of Craig coming down here. We get a really good look at the colours. It looks like we might have a mechanical here as they're getting checked there by the commissaires, and that's Bailey O'Donnell. Took out the sprint ace in the New Zealand Cycle Classic. He's just getting confirmation from the commissaires if he's allowed to jump straight back in there. He was pointing down towards the chain, and that may have had a drop chain or so in there, but we'll see what happens there. Looks like they're giving them the nod. They're checking things off, getting them ready. They've got a pit lane here on the front straight so they can bring the riders in. But it is, meanwhile, out in front, he's not too worried what's happening further back. As we see a number of riders having to go wide here, Marty. Now, bigger fields, only so much space available on the road here. This could make life pretty hectic there for those guys. They head into that hill each time.
Yes, it will for the first few laps. Craig Oliver, you know, if there's one man that could potentially ride away from this field, it would be a huge ask, but he's probably one that could do it. But as we expect to see the field thin out, until that happens, yeah, they're going to have to watch themselves, especially round that bottom corner, because there's just not the room to get the whole field round there. Anybody else in the field, Julian, that you think has the potential to really put the pressure on early and maybe even right away with this event, or right away getting towards the end of it?
Well, I look down and I see like number 9, Toby Evans. The young man had an outstanding stage on the New Zealand Cycle Classic recently, and that he'll give it a bit of a nudge. He's based doing a bit of his racing over in France last year, again to do the same again this year. Ryan Christensen, it'll be interesting what he's been put in there for. Often a workhorse for his teammates there. He's the sort of guy that could be a bit of a dark horse. They allow him to sneak on off. There's a number of guys in that Mitre Q team, the Theo Gilbertsons of this world, just to name one of many of those sort of guys that potentially could put a bit of pressure on. James Gardner, of course, powerful ox, the young man, and that's from Otago. And we know with James there, he did this, as I said, in stage 2 of the SBS Bank Tour of Southland last year, and so the 18-year-old rode clear of a very strong field, and he stayed out there for a good couple of laps to secure the stage victory. So we know he's got a big engine on him. And then you've got a few of those guys sitting in there that have got some decent sprints. Your Zach Pattersons of this world, for example, in there, the Joel Douglases, and the Sam Ritchies. There's a number of guys that could well and truly, depending on how the race sort of unravels over the next 50 minutes, could turn into all sorts of interesting results for us.
Yes, well, of course, Josh Burnett and Marshall Irwood, they're two names to just keep an eye on. Maybe perhaps slightly dark horses, but just on the day, way things go, you just never know.
Yeah, of course, Josh Burnett, winner just a couple of days ago of the Gravel and Tar race, and what an outstanding ride by him and his teammates there to perform and get that there, as it looks like it's Irwood that is off the front here at this moment. He's been given a bit of leeway here. A couple of his teammates heading onto the front. That won't be by accident, and that they, of course, won't be chasing their teammate down. And that's Irwood, like James Gardner, just stepping up into this team here, who will be heading over to the United States later on this year. And so they'll be looking to try and have a good performance here today. But he said Josh Burnett, and he rode well in the New Zealand Cycle Classic, couldn't quite get the Queen stage. I mean, with the way that Gate was performing, and that no one could get round the man, and that's in the multitude of stages here. But performed well, and that's in taking that Gravel and Tar race. I mean, if they were to let him get off the front, very strong off the front, a very good time trialist. We saw that with the Tour of Southland when he won that 2 years ago. And some of these guys have got very good time trialing legs on them. Again, given a few hundred metres, they could all of a sudden become half a lap.
Yeah, I think we can expect Maito Q to be pretty well organised as from a team aspect going into this race, and perhaps better organised than some of the other teams, or have better organisation than some of the other riders. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think again it's the numbers game. They've certainly got a number of riders in there, whereas others are sort of missing a few of their teammates here today, which will make life a little bit more challenging, or at least will change the tactics for these riders. I mean, let's chuck in number 15, one of the local men here, stepping up into the big time ranks, Wilson Hannon. And that's love watching him racing both on track and road. I think from memory has won the secondary school championships road race there last year, and that, as we see, Theo Gilbertson taking them through. James Gardner. Then you go to number 16, Adam Chapman, going through there in the red and white colours there. Rush Valley Ridley colours, and that's as they poured it on down through there, but fairly well under control at this point in time. But yes, coming back to your point about teams, you got numbers, you've got options, but of course also you've got the pressure to go with it, because other teams will look at them and go, well, you do have the numbers, you do have the big hitters, then we're expecting you to actually set the tone of the race.
Yes, could be a case of we'll just sit on you guys and let you do all the work. But just looking at some of the names down here, Maui Morrison is a man that's, if it comes down to a sprint, can be pretty hard to beat.
Well, let's not forget, of course, he's under 19 champion from last year, and the sprint finish was a great finish there by Maui, and that's and he's always in the mix. So definitely, yes, you would definitely keep an eye out for the likes of him here, as we see a few more names starting to throw out a few shout-outs for their favourites. And that's Mitchell Fitzsimmons, of course, a man that's recovery mode and broke a wrist. So if that's correct there, I think from New Zealand Cycle Classic, I hope the recovery's going well, Mitch. And that's Go the King of Southland. Of course, he's talking about Josh Burnett's, and a few other call-outs there from different people around the country, looking for Ben Oliver, and that's and a few other names just now being chucked into the mix. We said we've got Craig Oliver, for example, that's out there at the moment, who was one of the first men to set the pace alight here in this particular race. But of course he's got his brother, number 2, Ben Oliver, and he is a man who's changed teams, and he is one who is very well performed. Of course, we know him from the TV screens from World Cup events. We know silver medalist in the mountain biking at the Commonwealth Games. This is a guy who can climb well, but just as importantly, he's got a decent sort of a sprint on him as well. He would certainly have to be one of the favourites coming into an event such as this. And again, Maito Q sending a rider off the front here, and it looks like the Pista Corsa team are going to react to that there. So a bit of hesitation initially. Now we've got Copeland's, of course, in there as well. Glen Hayden. Now, you know him well, and that they're in the white colours, and of course Glen from the Wanganui region, Marty, your neck of the woods here. We saw him performing extremely well the other day in the Gravwintar.
Yes, that's an event that he always seems to do well in. Julian comes from a mountain biking background. He'll be the oldest man in the field, I would think. I hope he doesn't mind me saying that, but it's a compliment really at age 41 to be still mixing it up with these guys. And you've seen him down in your part of the world in Southland. Great time trialist. If you get in a breakaway with that guy, you know that you've got someone that's going to be really giving it heaps. So probably not quite the sort of event for him, this one, but whatever happens, you can always expect Glen to give 100%.
And speaking of 100%, it's Sam Ritchie that's gone off the front here. And he's looking down at the bike. He might have a bit of mechanical, which is not suitable, but it's one of his teammates possibly that's trying to get across as well, as they'll try and pick up a few dollars in the sprints. Now, a reminder that these sprints today, they are money up for grabs, but they don't affect the end result at all. So they're just purely about some preems. Good opportunity to mix the race on up there. They've got 3 official ones, and there's a mystery one in the mix there as well. Number 5, Ewan Mason, was one of the lead riders to bring them on through.
So just confirming, has Glen Hayden got number 7 or number 10?
So pressure going on the hill here with the vast majority of the field still together here, and it's being poured on pretty heavily, making life quite challenging for a number of riders there. You can see the faces on the screen. They're just starting to struggle a little bit there, one or two riders, as they made life as tough as possible for them. So just confirmation there that number 7 is Glen Hayden. Number 7 is Glen Hayden there, just change a name from what we had on our start sheets with the race number as we see the lead motorbike coming through.
Yeah, a bit of a fun fact there about Glen Hayden and some of the older viewers and people that are showing an interest in, have an interest in rugby in years gone by. Andy Hayden, ex-All Black, one of the better ones of course. Well, Glen is his nephew and certainly seems to have the same Hayden attitude towards sport, and that's generally give it heaps.
So there's a fair bit of pressure being poured on towards the front of the race here as riders continue to try and make life as difficult as possible. Interesting to note so far, Marty, there's a number of names we haven't really sort of mentioned, only because of the fact they are hiding themselves back in the peloton, not really trying to mix it on up here at this point in time. As they come through, it's Pista Corsa, and there's the defending champion sitting in second place there. I think Joel Douglas that potentially came on through there. It was either him or Josh Davis. It didn't quite just pick up. It was 33 or 34 that led the bunch through. But going up the hill, it was one or two riders having a bit of a chat, looking quite at ease with the way things were going, and others not looking so comfortable out there at all. As Ewan Mason, after being one of the lead riders through earlier, looks like he's just struggling a wee bit off the back now.
So we've got another couple of shout outs here. James W., fan of Go NZCP. Let's go, James. Great to hear from you. Noah Graham wants to know what team is Ben Oliver on. Well, we were just talking about that. Actually, we're not 100% sure what team Ben is on. If there's somebody here that knows that, could perhaps just come over and tell us. And then Luke Elphingston, let's go Ben. Yep, Ben Oliver, I'm sure, is the man that he's calling out there for. So a bit of support here for Ben Oliver. And as you were saying before, he's a powerhouse of a rider if Tour of Southland forms anything to go by.
Oh, absolutely. As I said, from a mountain biking point of view there, getting, as I said, that silver medal at the Commonwealth Games, and he's won respective national titles on the podium more often than not. And one of those thinking bike riders, and that's what I mean by that is, of course, able to read the race, understand what's going on, position himself well, and not overexert himself in places where you don't really need to do so, even when the pressure is on. And we see still the pressure being poured on towards the front. It's a couple of the riders there again from the Maawatu team. Oh, they're really stretching them out here as they come up the rise this time round. And there are some guys really starting to hurt a fair bit here as they try and whittle down the field a little bit. Certainly quite a difference in speed to what we have seen throughout today's racing, more consistently with the speed, I'd have to say, this time round for these guys. And it's and we see the black colours, Mudgway up towards the front, Ryan Christensen.
Glen Hayden there, just in behind Luke Christensen, the man we were talking about before, and the red and white colours there of Copeland's.
Of course, the Copeland's team, and that they're a team that was extremely well performed when it came to the New Zealand Cycle Classic recently, and they're constantly going off the front every day, always had a rider involved in the breaks there, so no surprise to see them have one or two riders out the front here. As we see, it is still Copeland's, it is Maawatu, so it's got Glen Hayden, then you've got Craig Oliver, and it looks like the tall figure, I think James Gardner, and that's of Otago, and that's going up around the outside. Yes, some very strong riders. They're given a decent sort of a gap here. That could be all over for a few of these riders.
That's a juicy prospect if those three decided to get together and put the hammer down for a while.
So motorbike leads them into the base of the hill, and of course you've got to pick your gaps. You've got to pick who you were there with, if it's going to make a difference or not. But I mean, we know that all well-performed riders, these guys here, but of course there are certain riders that, you know, actually I've got a serious chance if I can get away with certain riders. We've mentioned Glen Hayden, James Gardner, two guys with big engines. You got away with those guys there, you know you've got a serious chance of picking a few dollars up the road, maybe even a national title to boot. As we see the rest of the field spread, Copeland's go flying down on the insides.
Oh, a couple more shout-outs here, Julian. Neve Patterson, go Theo and the Mido Q boys. Great to hear from you, Neve. NZ Impossible, go Corby. Glitzy Gobbler Price. I guess Glitzy Gobbler will know who they are. And it looks like Nazaret Alvarez, Campos, go Mido Q. A lot of support here for them today, Mido Q.
Oh, absolutely. You can add Sophie Einison into that as well. She's busy messaging her dad and saying, I need a shout-out. Well, she'll be riding behind Marshall Irwood of Southland. And that's the Invercargill man. I've seeing him in action down home. And at the moment, we've got a wee group of up to 6 to 7 riders here. Now, this is looking a bit more potential to put a bit of damage into this main field here, because there's 2 of the Mitre Q guys in there, and they look like possibly, and that's Bailey O'Donnell, but I'll just have to pick that on up here. Of course, the man that rode for Oxford Edge and and that's for the New Zealand Cycle Classic, and he took out the Sprint Ace. So let's try and pick it up. It is the figure of Bailey O'Donnell going across there, and in fact he's got a couple of Copeland's guys in the mix there, and the rest of the fields at the moment steady, but not really putting any great pressure onto it. Number 20, Eli there, man based out of Queenstown. Trigachika there, he's, that's had a big day out in front. I think from memory it was the Queen Stage, and unfortunately for him though, the next couple of days didn't quite pan out the way he wanted there after those huge efforts in the heat of that New Zealand Cycle Classic.
Yes, the Queen Stage, or the King Stage, up Admiral Hill there. It was an epic effort really by the riders that managed to cross at the front of the race there. It certainly is a good tough stage, and it tends to sort them out, that one.
So interesting to note, back in the main field there, they're stretching out, but typically you've got a lot of teammates who are following each other back in that main field there, because of course they've already done the maths here. They've worked it out who's off the front. If it's their own teammates, you're not going to obviously see them towards the front of this chasing group, and if they are, they're pretty much feathering those brakes a wee bit there and not ensuring that that main field can actually try and go across the gap. And hence what you see with the likes of Mitre Q in there. Interesting, I would have to say though, Marty, and that's the black colours, the defending champion, Ryan Christensen. Oh, there we go, we might have inspired him. He looks like he's hit onto the front going up the hill here. I was going to say the defending champion won't want this sort of group to get too much of a gap here. He'd rather be at the forefront here to try and look after the legs and set himself up for a sprint.
Yes, indeed. Luke Mudgway, he never says die, and he's the sort of rider that never dies wondering either. But they've just got a bit of a gap. We had the watch on there. Well, it was about 4 or 5 seconds, but just a bit of a gap with those. Here they come through here now. Oh, well, it looks like it's all back together pretty much. Or have we got a, no, we've got a bit of a break. There's a few guys perhaps got across to them. It looks like Glen Hayden, it's one of the Copeland riders at the front. But look at this group here. The body language quite different, isn't it? That looks like Glen Hayden going through there. They're sort of looking around at each other, saying, well, I've got a rider up the road there, so I'm not going to do anything. So it just looks like they might be sorting themselves out a bit.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of frustration starting to creep into that second group. The front group just aren't too sure yet. They haven't quite committed themselves here, and that's going to allow a lot of riders to try and scramble across here as we try and pick it up. Glen Hayden coming on through. Bailey O'Donnell in behind him. Mudgway himself decides to hit off the front here. Marshall Irwood right towards the rear of the lead group here, but the second group slowly but surely getting themselves across to that lead group. So Mudgway, he's decided I might just put a bit of pressure on and try and reduce this down because it's not quite working out the way I want it here at this moment in time. Because let's not forget, this year he doesn't have a strong team around him for the lead out, so it's different tactics. He's got a lot of experience though. He'll know what to do, and you can see what he's done here already by just putting a bit of a kick into there as they head round down into the drop into the descent here. Very quickly, we have 5 riders off the front. possibly James Gardner or Irwood. I was just trying to pick it out there. That might have been Gardner with the wave to the crowd, and that as they went through. But certainly Luke Mudgway, one of the smallest figures in the field. He hides away nicely there in the black colours. Can he make it back-to-back titles this year?
Well, I certainly wouldn't put it beyond him, Julian. He may not have the team around him, but he's a very savvy bike rider, Luke, and he's pretty experienced as well. So he'll certainly have thought through the approach to this event and how he's going to handle it. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that unfolds, that's for sure.
Well, he's got a couple of young guns that have decided to go with him here, and they'll be loving being in the company of these sort of guys. Possibly Ryan Christensen up the front there with them as well, and of course Ryan and Luke Mudgway have done a lot of racing together, ridden in teams such as Black Spoke, so they'll know exactly without even having to talk with each other. That's the amazing part about it with a lot of these guys. They do a lot of racing in teams together over the years, whether that's at club level, whether that's in your centres, and that for national championships, let alone overseas and for national teams. That's just a bit of a nod of the head, a drop of the shoulder. In fact, even at times not even saying anything whatsoever. They just know what needs to be done. They know exactly when they're feeling okay or when they might have to switch roles because they might not be having such a great day. So heading up the hill, and looks like again we're getting two riders going to head off the front now. Dark colours, and possibly Ryan Christensen there. Mudgway looks across at the others and go, well, you want it? He's going, and that's and he might have with him. Might be Marshall Irwood of Southland, I think, there, if we made out the old mullets floating out the back of the helmets. Of course, there's a few of those these days in the bunch. As looks like one of the Rush Valley Ridley riders is struggling a little bit off. But here we go, folks. Lead two riders coming on through. It is Marshall Irwood, and he's away with Ryan Christensen. So good combination here, and they're being chased down. Rider 28 and 32, I think it looked like going through there. So Jackson King and David Lew. I thought it was David Lew right up the front. It's a good ride by him from the man from Auckland, and that's he's been put on towards the front of the field here. But again, interesting. Who's reacting, and more importantly, who's not reacting at this point in time?
Yes, got a good look at Luke Mudgway going through there. He was just cruising through in the middle of the bunch there, stretching as he looked around him. Thought it was interesting the way Marshall Irwood sort of just pulled over to let Ryan Christensen roll through and get the money for that one. Yeah, no, those two there just starting to settle into things a little bit there, and of course, particularly Irwood, he's got a number of teammates sitting back there in the main field, so they'll be quite satisfied with the fact that they've given themselves another shake of the stick there to try and take out the title here as they get a bit of a gap, but there's a long way to go here yet. A lot of racing available, but these two, they've got, of course, the ability to get some really good lines into those corners. And Bailey O'Donnell, the sprint ace recently from the New Zealand Cycle Classic, he's jumping across. Now, of course, don't forget, folks, you know you're cycling well. Of course, Bailey O'Donnell, you think he's been around for a while. He's not that old, but he's also taken himself out a real title on the track in the team's pursuit. He gets himself across here, and then you've got another serious sprinter in amongst it. So looks like the Manawatu team, they're well aware of it. They've got one of their riders, their job, I would suggest, was to track the likes of Bailey O'Donnell today. The man running in the Copeland's colours, and that's he's the man from Canterbury. Yes, we're getting some response now from the main bunch for those two that were out in front. I mean, you wouldn't want to. He's a rider you know well, Julian, Marshall Irwood. He's certainly not someone you'd want to give a big advantage to. He certainly knows how to finish a bike race. But we see these two just coming through now. Looks as though now there's another three riders getting. If these guys here in the screen at the moment, guys, these five decide, and these two perhaps possibly get across to them, we could have a very interesting scenario indeed. And that just looks like what might be happening. Look at the gap back now. Yeah, no, this is looking extremely serious here, and it looks like the Manawatu team, and we keep mentioning them, but of course they've got large numbers, and they're very much at the front of the race. And as you can see right now controlling the main field, and potentially they're going to have three riders at the very front of this race here. Now this is really starting to open things on up. It's the Pista Corsa. And that Maui Morrison, the under-19 champion, he leads them through. Ryan Christensen, Bailey O'Donnell,
possibly Craig Oliver there, I think, from the Mitre Q team, but certainly Marshall Irwoods. And of course, Marshall, and that's recently returned from Colombia last year from the New Zealand team, riding at the Junior World Championships. And he's got a few of his teammates back there that were riding with him there as well, but you're right. He's just completed his first ever UCI road race with the Gravel and Tar, where he finished 9th for the team. Of course, they took out the win with Josh Burnett, and he was second in the under-23, so he was pretty stoked with the efforts there. As is his parents, Lisa and Richard, who I know will be fully tuned into it here. Lisa will have no fingernails left now and that, but she'll be analysing everything here for us, Marty. So she'll be giving us a bit of an update as to what's going to happen shortly,
you'll
I'm
probably
sure.
get a phone call any minute now, Julian. The two riders that are looking to get across, rider 32 and rider 42, to the riders in the front, that's Jackson King and Hayden Strong. Hayden a late entry into the race, but those are the two riders that are sort of in no man's land here. So here's the front going around now. We should see these next two coming through just shortly. We're going to chop to here they are. Those are the two that are chasing, and then we'll see the bunch coming through. We're going to chop back to the front. We're going to follow them, of course, and this is the group we need to follow, because we need to just sort of see what sort of an advantage these guys are going to put forward for themselves. So I think that one going through, that might be Hayden Strong, and then this guy here coming through, he's just feeling the pace a wee bit. That to me looks like Jackson King. Yeah, well, I'd say here, this lead group are on their way to opening up a decent sort of a gap here. The rest have been caught out napping, but it's a really interesting mix of riders that are going to be in that front group here. This said Maui Morrison, and they're taking out that under-19 title last year. I mean, Maui loves getting across the boards with track cycling, mountain biking. He's pretty handy on that as well. And of course, as you said, on the road, and that, well, he rode his first ever SBS Bank Tour of Southland last year. In fact, Dan Gardner, and that, who no doubt's probably tuned in and following these guys here, will be pleased to see his teammate last year at the SBS Bank Tour of Southland up there in the fold. So these guys know that they could be in for a good day's racing here as we look to see them coming over the top of the hill. And there could be a bit of more splintering going on, though, as it looks like some pressure going on. Is it Bailey O'Donnell possibly that's put a bit of pressure on as we look to the chasers? And one of them, just the different group on the screen I think I picked up. This is our lead group here. Ryan Christensen in the black colours. There's Bailey O'Donnell going through. It is Craig Oliver. Hayden Strong has made the junction across there for his teammate Marshall Irwoods. So 3 of them from the Mitre Q team. Ryan Christensen, is he the man today after he does a power of work for his teams day in and day out, giving the opportunity today to try and take this one on out here. Next group going on through, you can see James Gardner sitting there. He won't roll through. He knows full well that he's got 3 teammates off the fronts. How are we looking for a time there, Marty? So 20 seconds to the chasers, and the peloton just rolling through now. They're at about 35, 36 seconds. Yeah, Maui Morrison, as you were saying, Julian, give him a sniff of the finish line at the end of a bike race, and that boy knows how to finish.
Of course, Hayden Strong making the junction across, another well-performed Southland rider. Of course, his brother Corbin riding in the Tour Down Under. Unfortunately, after placing well in some of the stages early on, got sick and had to pull out. Rides for the Israel team as we see our lead group head through into the bottom of the hill, and not too many changes around there. They all look like they're just following the wheels. But we see the lead group here who are looking quite comfortable with it here, but we're not feeling so comfortable at the finish here because we can feel that breeze just picking up again, just sort of comes through in gusts, and these riders will be feeling it as they come off. I would suggest in particular off the top of the rise here, just out of this shot now, and that's where they'll be exposed a lot more to it. And as we've said time and time again here, they're going to have to watch themselves in the sprint finish if they want to time that to perfection. And that, but she's still very warm. In fact, I've just moved the old mobile. It's just sitting here on the table, but it's just come up with some sort of an alert to say the phone's getting far too hot. You're going to have to move it into the shades and that there. So she's warm out here, comfortable enough, and that's for the racing. Great for the crowds though, Marty. And we've got a good crowd here once again in its second year here at the Massey University. Steve Stannard and the team have got to be stoked with the support they're getting.
Yeah, indeed. And it's good to see these people tuning into us through YouTube as well. Simon Pepper, Let's Go Mudge, Smash It Mate, Anna Quinn, Go Mardo Q, Darren Peters, Go Corby, Anna Quinn, Let's Go Mardo Q again. So there's one, must be one of their bigger fans. And Oliver Scott, Go David Liu. So some great support.
Now, there was a bit of an attack going on there, and I would suggest that's the man from Canterbury, and he's just being sucked into the fold. We'll just batten down the hatches here for a moment as the wind starts to pick up once again, but Bailey O'Donnell gives it a wee bit of a nudge. So he goes through. He's number 27. Then we've got 11. Looks like 13. And you got Marshall Irwoods also up there as we try and pick up Maui Morrison. We're just trying to pick up all those various numbers for ourselves here as they go through. But there's no doubt about these guys here. Here comes the chasing group. And that's, but of course, they've got riders off the front, so they won't necessarily, at least two of them have anyway. And that, so they won't necessarily be doing anything of any great note. Caleb Botcher, one of the riders in that group of about 5 riders. So they'll be putting the pressure back onto likes of Botcher. They'll be putting the pressure back onto the rider from Rusvello Ridley. And that's because the other two have got teammates who have gone off the fronts with the Pista Corsa, with Maui Morrison and Maidaku with 3 riders. So hence why James Gardner will just be along for the ride in that second group, knowing full well that so far as a team effort they've done a pretty good sort of a plan. I say that, but is this now James Gardner going off the front of the second group? So there you go. There comes our leading group through. Bit of a split going into the climb there, as I think two of them just peeled off a little bit off the back of the wheel. But this will be more interesting to see who's that coming through. I think it is James Gardner if it is. And that is he going to try and do the time trial effort, get himself to the front and help his teammates out. Now, of course, he's trying to time this to perfection. It is. So the big engine from Otago. And he's opened up a gap here. Now that would give 4 riders from the one team off the very front, if that was the case, if he gets himself across. Of course, they've already got the 3, and then here they go. They're the bunch not too far off, the ones that are sort of stuck in no man's land, Marty.
Yeah, just when you think, I was just beginning to think the race was starting to settle down and was looking for some numbers just to get the names to go with those guys out in front. And that's possibly where the bike race was going to be. And then we've got Ben Oliver deciding that he wants to get across. So hang on to your hats, folks. We could see the dynamics change. It's certainly not all over yet. We started racing at 2:30. It's now 3:05, and the length of the race is we've got another 25 minutes to go, I think. And then we've got those 3 laps. So there's still plenty to be had yet.
Yes, it's a fine line here for these riders. They've got to put enough pressure on the pedals at the front of the race, but at the same time trying to reserve something for the finish. As we've seen James Gardner now come into the picture, well, that's starting to hurt there as he thought he couldn't get himself across, but he realises the main peloton now are starting to rev things up further on back. Maui Morrison with a quick shot there of that front group. Looked like he was struggling a wee bit there, and his mate Marshall Irwood had to jump round the outside of him to get himself back up. As Bailey O'Donnell brings them through, Ryan Christensen, Craig Oliver, Marshall Irwoods. They're the riders on the front there. And I don't know if I picked up Hayden Strong potentially that time. He may well have dropped back into the group. We'll try and pick him up here because he would have had a late arrival into Palmerston North last night there. I think he was coming in about 10 o'clock. It's,
I didn't see his number. That's not to say he wasn't there, but I didn't pick up his number. He just regrouping.
Right, there he is. He's in the main in the peloton. I see the colours there. Number 24, Zach Patterson. He's in the old Mape colours of the 1980s, and that's riding for the colours, the team from down south as well. So we have 5 riders off the front. Ryan Christensen being one of those, number 11. You've got number 13, Craig Oliver, number 13. Also in the mix out the front there is number 23, Marshall Irwoods. Number 27, Bailey O'Donnell. And Maui Morrison would be your last man that's in the mix there with that leading group, which has been off the front now for quite a considerable amount of time in this race. But don't count out that chasing peloton. But I tell you what, there's some very big hitters, some strong riders at the front of this race at this moment in time. The final event today of these New Zealand Criterium Championships.
Well, Julian, just looking through these names, Ryan Christensen, Craig Oliver, Marshall Irwood, Bailey O'Donnell and Maui Morrison out in front. It's a mouth-watering prospect seeing these 5 battle it out.
Oh, absolutely. And I tell you what, there's a couple of them that have just stepped up into the, officially the under-23 ranks here. So they'll be very excited by the prospect of being in the mix with these sort of guys. But no doubt the more experienced rider in there is having a few words and potentially trying to play the mind games with some of these guys. So it'll be interesting how they deal with that as well as the race transpires. How we're looking for time there, Marty. What are we coming up to? Nearly 10 past?
Yes, we are. So that'll be 40 minutes of racing. So the elder statesman, so to speak, in this group out in front would be Ryan Christensen.
Yeah, certainly a lot of experience on the shoulders of the man in the black colours, number 11, Ryan Christensen, as they come over towards the top of the hill into the finishing straight once again. Craig Oliver, and that's more experience obviously in the mountain biking, quite newcomer, particularly something such as Criterium racing. But I tell you what, he's just getting better and better, and that as we saw with the SBS Bank Tour Southlands, and along with the New Zealand Cycle Classic recently, as those 5 going through the 2 men at the very back there. Maui Morrison, the Pista Corsa colours, development team here, Tim Pawson and team doing a great job with those young guys. As I said, they performed extremely well at the SBS Bank Tour Southlands last year. Had a relatively quiet time in the New Zealand Cycle Classic, but today putting Morrison up front, who of course will come into this race with some very good memories. And of course, riders, there's a bit of that, and if they've enjoyed a course before, they've had good results on it. About 30 seconds, riders, about a 30-second gap now as the main bunch goes on through, and you can see the brakes are on. It's all on for young and old in this top 5. In fact, it's probably closer to 40 seconds is the gap there for those riders that have snuck themselves off the front here. Bailey O'Donnell, I'd have to say, and that would have to be a serious contender in here. I mean, he got so close, Marty, in that New Zealand Cycle Classic of taking stages. I mean, the one man that was beating him was just at a whole different level. We know Aaron Gates, but I tell you what, Bailey did not embarrass himself at all, picked up the sprint ace and got a number of second places.
Yeah, it was a great performance by him, Julian, but I had to smile quietly as the peloton came through that time. Who was at the front? Well, it was about 4 Mito Q riders there, so certainly they're doing the job they need to do. They've got riders up front, so I think it's pretty hard actually to see these 5 guys being chased down. That's what we've seen earlier in the day. Breakaway, get away, and then the breakaway contests it. It's taken a little longer in this particular race for that breakaway to establish themselves, but establish themselves they have. And so now we're going to see it, I think, come down to a battle between these 5, unless we see something fairly extraordinary happen within, the next few laps. And it certainly won't be coming from the Mito Q boys. It'll be interesting to see where that comes from. Just wondering what might be going through Luke Mudgway's mind at this stage.
Yeah, well, it was just interesting watching his body language as one of his good mates, Ryan Christensen, went to go off the front, and I saw Luke, as I think I made comments here on the live stream, sort of turn to the rest of the field and sort of say, well, yeah, you guys want it, and that's the way you go. Oh, that vehicle has appeared again on the course. Oh, I'm not so sure that's a good time to be heading down the hill. We've got some great volunteers out there. They'll deal to that as the lead group of 5 riders not too far away. And that's and Marty, he's Mr. Multitasker here. Don't believe what you hear. This guy, he can time keep, he can commentate, he can write notes. He's got it all covered. There's Craig Oliver, brings them through, the 5 of them, and they're all looking pretty relaxed, to be fair. And the time is running here. What sort of a gap will we see going through? It's already approached 25 seconds here. As the flag goes on up, I'd suggest it's probably going to be getting up around the 40. No, 30. So just about 31, in fact. Let's go with 30 though for them as they go through. So 30 seconds, riders. 30 seconds is the gap. 30 seconds, riders, is the gap to the lead group.
So and going through there, Julian, we saw Ben Oliver and Adam Chapman driving the pace at the front. So that gap's actually come back 10 seconds in that last lap. So maybe the peloton's starting to respond now, but it won't be Mito Q that will be driving it.
And Mudgway sitting halfway down the field there, looking very cool, calm and collected. And of course in racing you've got to be at all the best of times, but let alone in criterium racing where things can change at the drop of a hat. You don't want to get too panicky, try and put the moves on. As we see, a good shot here of the chasing peloton. Looks like Russvello Ridley's been put onto the front of the field, but right in behind those pinky purpley colours. Here's some great Southland rolling R's for you, and that's of the Mitre Q team onto the front. Of course, again, they won't be putting any pressure on whatsoever, and they know they've got options aplenty sitting off the front of the field here at this point in time. Approaching quarter past now. Remember, these riders today are going for 50 minutes. Now, that was a change in the program. They went from 45 out to 50 minutes, plus the all-up 4 sprints for these riders. But it's all about the final sprint, of course, of the day, which is the one that will determine the national champion here for 2024.
Well, we've got plenty of support here for David Liu, Oliver Scott, and I think I'm going to say, hopefully I'm going to say this correctly, Josh Hiesenbootle, go David Liu, Nazareth Alves, Campos, go Hayden, James W. Fan, go NZCP, let's go Mido Q. There's a lot of support for Mido, and it's great to see, and it's great that you're all getting in touch with us and letting us know that you're watching and enjoying the New Zealand Criterium Champs 2024 being held here in pretty good conditions, really. Certainly warm, certainly breezy. The rain has stayed away, so that's real good. We're real happy about that here in Palmerston North, cycling around the circuit around the Massey campus.
Now, I know one of the biggest questions of the day from many of you out there watching this on the streaming, and that's, we mentioned before, Marshall's mother should be chewing on the nails. Well, she's just confirmed for me, correct, she's got nothing left. They're getting down to the closing stages, and it's Marshall that cruises off towards the back there of Ryan Christensen. Sitting out in front of him, Bailey O'Donnell. And Craig Oliver, of course, the teammates, the mountain biker who's got his brother doing a lot of work chasing here back in the main peloton. Here he is now, and I tell you what, the time's coming down as they come on through here. So 20 seconds, and Ben Oliver on the front. This will be an interesting feeling, of course, for the Mitre Q team, of course, because he rode for them for a number of years, has just changed teams this year, and he is the guy sitting on the front, chasing down the team that he rode for last year. Of course, that's what it's all about. So you've got to ride for the colours that you're in, and at the end of the day, there's a national title to grab.
And the 4 riders that were in behind him, guess what colours they were wearing? We had 4 Mito Q riders right in behind Ben Oliver as they went past us here at the start-finish line.
Oh, here we go, folks. Luke Mudgway. Mudgway's gone off the front. He is attacking hard here. Remember, it was only a 20-second gap here, so can the defending champion jump his way across and then, more importantly, then catch his breath to set himself up for a potential defence of the title? They're already up onto the hill, the leading group. We're waiting here to see if Mudgway's been allowed to get the gap. Here he goes. He hits into the hill. No surprise. It's one of the Mitre Q teammates that are trying to shut that down, jumping onto him there as they head round into the hill once again. So Mudgway's still got a decent gap to do. It's a big effort. He's waited, we said that just only moments earlier, that he's been sitting back in the middle of the field waiting patiently. Of course, we are getting close to lap board time. We won't be too far away from that at all. 50 minutes plus 3 laps. That's what these riders are going for. A few of them are wishing now it was only the 45. They'd be into the lap board as we speak. There's a wait to see them come up around the rise. Will we see 5 riders, or what do you think? Will we see the 6th, the defending champion, join them at the front?
Well, just thinking tactics here, Julian, we've got Ryan Christensen up the road. Question, is he up there for Luke Mudgway, perhaps?
It's a potential for sure, but I think, I don't know, just as I said, the way in which I saw Mudgway, who's now been sucked back into the fold, but he's set himself directly on the front there. He's got Ben Oliver in behind him as he pulls over. And no surprise, Mitre Q guys just hovering around the front. They're not interested in lapping it out, but a few of them have gone a fair way back in the field here. In fact, looks like they're about to lose one of their riders, maybe Hayden Strong, just drifting off the back. So the attrition rate now starting to kick into gear for a few riders here, as Ryan Christensen looks like he's might have a puncher. Ben Oliver, Bailey O'Donnell, looks like might be a rear wheel for Ryan Christensen, and the gap is closing. The gap is certainly closing here. 10 second is the gap. 10 seconds the gap there.
Well, I think we're going to see this all come back together, Julian. I wouldn't have thought that. So, wouldn't have thought of that about 10, 15 minutes ago. It looked as though we had our breakaway off the front with Maawatu controlling the peloton, and that perhaps that was the bike race. And then all it took was a Luke Mudgway to get into the action, and we've seen things start to change.
So Ryan Christensen in the pit lane now. So the commissaires will be checking that. It's just like a rear wheel. They'll be changing it, and he'll be able to jump back in here for the closing stages. If it happened in the last 3 laps, he wouldn't be permitted to do so. It looks like Hayden Strong's done his efforts here for the team today, and they'll still be hopeful as we see a good shot here of the main fields.
So having Ryan Christensen out for maybe a lap or 2, that's going to impact on those riders at the front. 5 now become 4.
Absolutely, and here they go, the 4 of them, as they go round the corner. Let's see what the time check is. It was around 10 seconds a moment ago. I'd suggest it's about the same. And it's still Mudgway towards the front of the field here. They can't be too far away from starting to polish off the lap boards here for these riders. As we see a few now calling it a day for their day's racing here. 50 minutes plus 3 laps. That's what it is for the final event for the elite men's. Here in Palmerston North. If you're just joining us, welcome along to this 2024 Criterium National Championships. And very much still very open, as we thought at one point there. Those 5 were looking serious contenders to take on the challenge for the sprint finish. Now, don't forget, once they've confirmed all the results here, we'll be into the presentations of the respective races. We'll also catch up with the winner as well. So here we go, 4 riders out in front there. Now the gap is definitely being shut down. We can see them chasing. And it looks like they're going to get potentially caught here, so there'll be some decisions being made amongst that 4, whether they have a hit off the front or whether they sit up and allow that group to come back through. As we see the lead motorbike once again. Here we go. And it looks like they've decided to give it away. So it's all back together, folks. Wow, this will make life very interesting as they get down to the closing stages. 3 laps to go, 3 laps to go. Josh Burnett going on to the fronts. And 3 Maawatu riders heading off the front once again. They do a nudge off the front. James Wilson giving the opportunity. James Gardner up there. Josh Burnett. So 3 laps to go, folks. So in round figures, you're talking 6 kilometres worth of racing. So not long to go to decide this national championship here. And believe it or not, a few of them will have the opportunity to catch their breath.
That'll be great. Thanks, Glennis.
As 3 riders heading off the front, and Ryan Christensen looks like the man who's, after, if you like, getting a wee bit of a breather with the puncher, has jumped onto the train at the front. So Ryan Christensen, as we said earlier, given the opportunity, I think, by Luke Mudgway, and that is not giving up the opportunity to take out a national title here. He's decided to go straight off the front again here, as we said, after that puncher. So it looks like 2 of the black spoke. That's, of course, Christensen last year. 2 of the Maawatu team. And looks like a 4th rider also desperately trying to scramble across to the gap as well. But I think James Wilson, Josh Burnett, I think, are the 2 that have gone off the front.
Well, they've got a gap of 6 seconds there, Julian. It's amazing how quick that time can go out. That's, of course, downhill. And let's see if they can maintain that coming up to the finish line, where they'll get, they've had 3 laps to go. Yep, so they'll get 2 laps to go this time.
Yeah, a couple of laps to go here. Now, that's an interesting mix too, if it's a sprint finish between those 3 there. James Wilson, if we got the right name, we'll just make sure we'll pick him up. I'm pretty sure it was him. He'd be pretty handy. It'd be a hard one to sort of beat there. Of course, you've got the winner of the Gravel and Tara only a couple of days ago, and that's who is up there as well, Josh Burnett. And of course, Ryan Christensen, he's trying to upset the party. And I think we might have a 4th man who's made it across. Now, it looks like colours of Pista Corsa. Is it Maui Morrison? We'll just try and pick it up. If it is, it's an outstanding ride for him to get himself back into the fold again here off the front. And there's a chase group of some 3 riders who are next in line. And then you've got the bunch left in line here. So, I don't know, these three here, I think it's going to be due to the closing stages as Mudgway goes again. Yes, we've got 4 riders indeed here, folks. As they come through, we'll pick up the confirmation of the numbers here for you. We'll pick them on up. James Gardner, sorry, that's the man that's on the front there. Number 33, 11 and 31. They are your 4 riders. So Gardner down on the inside there. He's got with him Ryan Christensen up the fronts. 33 and 11, 31. So 33, Joel Douglas. Joel, now we mentioned him right near the start of today's racing here. He would be a very good contender for this race here. And I tell you what, he's got himself potentially in the move that could be the move of the day.
James Wilson's still there. 31. You called 31, and then 18 is James Gardner.
So James Wilson, number 31. James Gardner, also in there as teammates. Joel Douglas, number 33, in the Pista Corsa colours, I think it is there.
11, 18, 31, 33.
Ryan Christensen. So Christensen, Gardner, Wilson and Douglas. They are the 4 that have now escaped off the front, and I think we've done our maths right. They should be approaching Marty the Bell at that lead 4.
They should be. What a good, looking back over the race, what a great day Ryan Christensen's had. He's been in the action. And
absolutely. Sorry, Marty. And that's, but look, these the main peloton. Now, I tell you what, I would not count them out, folks. They have just swung around the base of the hill and only a mere metres ahead with a lead group of 4. Are we going to see a bunch kick down here in the final race of the Criterium Nationals here for 2024 on Palmerston North? Folks, keep an eye out for it. They're about to come off the top of the hill here any moments now. And they'll start to line themselves up. Will we see enough of a gap with 4 riders? And they are very strong riders indeed here. Any one of those guys in all sorts of shapes and forms and all sorts of ways of doing it, going off the front, leaving it to a sprint, could take out this title. Or will we see the likes of Ben Oliver, Luke Mudgway and co shut down the gap and set themselves up to try and take out this national title? Up the hill they come. Oh, Marty, what is it? 50 metres?
Yeah, if that, it looks as though it's going to come back together. And this is the bell lap, I think. Yep, this is the bell lap. So it's all going to unfold in the next lap, in the next few moments. Are these guys going to stay away, or are they going to get caught? Well, we've put the watch on them.
Make some noise, folks. James Wilson coming on through. Joel Douglas sitting there in the blue and the white colours. He now hits on to the front. Ryan Christensen in the black colours. But here comes the chasing peloton. Not much of a chase going on. The gap is not very long whatsoever here as riders start to wind it up. Mudgway starts to go there. 1 or 2 riders get onto his wheel. So can Mudgway jump his way across to it? It looked like Irwood trying to get onto his wheel. Here come the lead 4. They're coming down the back straight, down the hill here, and it's Ryan Christensen who's leading them. He has a look over the shoulders. He's thinking, where is that bunch? Have we got this? Oh, this is going to be a hard one to pick.
They had 12 seconds back to the chasing riders, and Luke Mudgway, he's got to break. He's got to bring back 15 seconds, and there he is. I don't know. I think those 4 out in front might just have enough time.
Yeah, no, it's going to be pretty tight indeed, but I think you're right. And of course, the Mighty Q guys, and it's, they're setting it up just in case the gap does get shut down, but there's only 1 or 2 riders that are doing the work on the front as Douglas leads them round the bends here onto the hill for the final time. The clock is still counting here as we look to see them. Oh, it's opened a little bit more. Here we go. Mudgway leads in the likes of Marshall Irwood and half a dozen other riders, including Bailey O'Donnell, as they make their way round now. They're into the last 600 metres here of this final race of these New Zealand Criterium Championships. Folks, make sure you get yourself down to the finishing line here. Line themselves on up here to see if these 4 can take it. Can Joel Douglas do it? Can Ryan Christensen do it? Or will it be one of the Mighty Q team? James Wilson, he's up there. Mid-South Canterbury rider. You've also got in the mix there with him the Otago man, James Gardner. Well, folks, we're not too far away as we look to the screens. There we go, the lead motorbike, about 2/3 of the way up the hill they go. And we still see 4 guys out in front, and they're having to keep the pressure on. It is Douglas in the Pista Corsa colours. Here comes a chasing group, but I tell you what, there's not only 4 or 5 of them in it here, folks.
Or can these 4 stay away, Julian? Can they do it? Because there's 5 guys that are looking to ride them down.
Absolutely, it's being shut down all the time here. There's only mere metres left here. And it looks like some of the more Mudgway guys again trying to get themselves in the mix to involve a few more, but here they come to the finish. James Gardner coming down for a Targo, and James Gardner's going to take it out. James Wilson will hold on to second place. Then we go to Ryan Christensen. That'll be the way they'll finish on off here. But Mudgway, they do it again, folks. That's 2 races in a row after taking out the gravel and tar race. As one of the young guns, James Gardner, after getting away in the break here at the finish, secures himself the title. He's won national titles on the track and the road, folks. He's a Junior Worlds representative. But what an outstanding ride by the Mudgway team here as they take the 1-2 for the day here in the Elite Men's Criterium National Championships.
Yeah, that was a terrific finish. The dynamics of that race changed. You know, when we had those 5 out in front, I really did think that was it, but it all changed in the, in the last 10-15 minutes. And that's a great win for James Gardner.
So James Gardner, of course, as was said, he's won various titles, and that team had a lot of cards to play. And getting into that break there at the finish there certainly played into his hands. The strong man, he would have loved up that little climb at the end that would suit him down nicely here. I mean, this is a guy that you're going to have to keep a serious look on here when they get to the New Zealand Road Championships as well. Don't count him out for the Under-23 Time Trial Championships. But today, he's taken himself out a National Criterium title.
Well, don't go away, folks. Do hang around for the presentation ceremony. That will be happening fairly shortly. But certainly there's some people to acknowledge for the success of the day, and a big thank you to our sponsors, the Palmerston North District Council and Massey University, where we have brought this racing to you from today, and also Glen, Kirk Oral Surgery. Thank you, Glen, for putting in the preems into each of the events and providing the prize money there. Green Monkey, Daniel Carruthers, we do custom faster than you can ride. He's got a stall down there with some jerseys and things for sale, so pop on down there. There's also some Korean food. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Am I? Yeah, well, very quiet. So there's also food and drink to be had down there. I seem to be having a couple of technical issues here, folks. 1 2 1 2. Up, I think we're back now, folks. So there's also some food and coffee to be had down there. And just while Julian is looking to find James Gardner for an interview, can you give me some more juice? It seems to be very quiet. Just a couple of events for you to be aware of. The River City Wheel Race in Wanganui on February the 3rd. Online entries closed there on the 31st of January. So that's on the newly resurfaced track there in Wanganui, and also the Zero Wellington Junior Omnium Carnival. That's happening on Sunday the 11th of February in the Velodrome at Taitoi. Yep, we'll get these presentations underway as soon as possible.
We'll go and see Glen. I've asked her to put them together for us.
Grab James.
And we'll catch up with James Gardner as well as the winner of the Elite Men's title. Another shout out to all those who have been following us.
That's your result. There you go. Hope you can read my writing. So, under 17s, Stephen. Sprint free to down the side can I get that back off you when you're done? Yeah. Do you want me to come on?
Managed to get this working, or are you going to need it for you? They might get you to, do you have enough length on your cable to get it onto that center? Ah, I'm facing it the other way. Yeah, they're turning it around. Do you want to see if they'll turn it the other way? I mean, if you could even bring your camera down to your cable.
So folks, they're just confirming all the respective results, and then we'll be straight into the presentations there for you.
Are we keeping that going that way? So, is this changed? Right?
Yeah, against the sun. You can pop it.
James. Answer for it.
All right, folks, we're just getting ready for the presentations. In the meantime, though, it's an opportunity to catch up with the man who just took himself out another national title. Well, James Gardner, how are we feeling about the result?
I'm bloody stoked, mate. That was awesome. The team put it on the whole day, 1-2, and we stuck to the plan, and bloody stoked it worked out. It's the best thing ever.
We started apologising to folks because all we keep mentioning was Maida Q, but of course she had significant numbers and a lot of cards to play today.
We had a lot of boys racing, obviously racing Cycle Classic last week, and then Gravel and Tail with Josh clutching the dub up as well. It was an awesome week for us lads, and to have us all here racing and giving it a red hot crack was awesome. So thanks for the team. Obviously we couldn't do it without them. They were on the whole day, perfect tactics and everything like that. So bloody awesome.
And it must have been an interesting feeling back in that main peloton when that gap started to open with those 5 riders.
We had 3 names at first up in there, and then went down to 2. So we were represented, but with Ben right in the front by himself, he was smashing it, bringing it back by himself pretty much, and we were there just sitting on, and the counter went. I was following wheels, and James Wilson and I were in the right place at the right time doing the right thing, so it worked out really well in the end for us to be in that group with both of us. So yeah, really happy to go 1-2 with James Wilson after he put a massive effort in for us today.
And the conditions out there today?
Definitely a little bit of wind tinting in there, trying to blow things apart, but with it being a head cross, it didn't really play much. Definitely not quite up to standard with the southland weather and crosswinds such as that.
We're right up there with the Targa, of course. Hey, how important is this to be able to walk away with a national jersey?
Well, the national Criterium jersey, obviously racing in America this year with the team will be awesome, and to wear that silver jersey will be awesome. So we'll represent it proud when we're over in the States and wherever in the world representing the New Zealand flag.
Now, of course, we're doing a lot of live streaming. They've just set the camera up now. Do you want to do a bit of a shout out to all the supporters back down in Otago?
Yeah, well, I got my whole family watching right now, and my coach and mentor and everyone from Otago, I'm sure, is tuning into the live stream right about now. So hello everyone, and yeah, thanks for watching.
Well, thanks for you and the team making an outstanding race. Folks, would you give it up for James Gardner? Here's your elite national title holder here for the Criterium Champs.
Well, I'll stand by with this one, just in case. But yeah, it should match. Yeah.
we'll get that sorted. So that's what are they go check it right now? Then.
Just go through the others.
Okay, under 19. Just about one we were given versus that is like Laurel, and Medicine. 19 years.
Christensen, Wilson, Gardner. Just wondering about Andrew Jensen. The judges gave us.
Thanks.
Transponders back? Where do you need them to go? Where do they need to go?
Okay, a reminder to all riders, please, to bring the transponders back, back there. So all riders, we'll be able to just get a little juice in that speaker system. So riders, if you could return your transponders, please.
Yeah. Speaker's not working, so they've got to mute that one, move it down, so we've got one to crouch in here.
Okay.
I was like, no, when I heard 20 seconds. Man, that was hard.
Nah, it's good. Good race.
Yeah, we'll catch up at some point, yeah. I'll fix you
So I always tell people to move to that side.
Thanks for that. No drums.
Yes. Just getting our results confirmed because there was a difference given. Two sets and one was just slightly different.
Oh, okay, right. So you're happy now, eh? Oh, no, so you actually one of you guys can do a presentation. Glen has just confirmed that it's number 80.
Sorry?
It is number 80, Andrew Jensen.
So third place should be Andrew Jensen.
Yeah, I'll do it for you. Phyllis, do you want to do the under 17 boys?
Oh, this is to present the medals?
Yes, present the medals.
Okay.
And can you introduce Marty?
Yeah.
And then he'll introduce you to the under 19.
And we've got our riders all ready to go. Well, haven't we been treated to a fantastic day's worth of racing here in the 2024 Criterium National Championships, hosted right here in Palmerston North. Before we get underway for the presentations, folks, let's take the opportunity to acknowledge all the volunteers and Steve and his team here for bringing these national championships here today. Well, we'll start off with our under-17 girls, our small field but a quality field here, and we'll ask them to come forward for the presentations. In third place for 2024, and the medals to be presented by Kelly Newton, one of the commissaires, is Millie Collins. In second place, Poppy McIver. And ladies and gentlemen, your 2024 national champion, Nina Worrell. Ladies and gentlemen, would you show your appreciation? To be able to now wear this during the 2024 season. Thanks to Green Monkey for their support in getting those jerseys organised for these championships. Folks, once again, give it up for the under. In second place, Harry Shannon. And your 2024 champion, David Kwong. And again, the national jersey to be placed onto the shoulders of David Kwong. Ladies and gentlemen, would you give it up once again for the under-17 boys? And now takes us to the under-19 women's category. And Glenys Taylor, one of the judges and commissaires here, doing a great job over a number of events, including today. Folks, would you give it up for third place, Elena Worrell? In second place, Alex Wollaston. And your 2024 champion, folks, would you put your hands together for Ava Madison? So the champions received the gold medal and, of course, the national jersey as well. The winner of the under-19 women's category. Ladies and gentlemen, would you show your appreciation for the place getters in the under-19 women's Criterium Championship? Stephen Alvin, one of our commissaires now to assist with the under-19 men's category. And in third place, Lachlan McNabb. In second place, Reef Roberts.
And your 2024 champion, Finn McKenzie. Ladies and gentlemen, would you show your appreciation for the place getters in the Under-19 Men's Criterium National Championships? Tim Whitehouse, one of our commissaires of the day, to assist us now with the elite women's category. In third place was Charlotte Lucas, who's had to leave the events but has received her medal earlier, so she receives the bronze medal. In second place, Riley McMillan. And your 2024 champion, folks, would you put your hands together for Michaela Drummond. Ladies and gentlemen, would you show your appreciation here for the place getters in the Elite Women's National Criterium Championships? And Michaela to receive proudly the national jersey, which again many of these riders now will get to be able to wear during the 2024 season. Once again, folks, would you give it up for our elite women? And our final event of the day, Mike Sim, past president of Road Track and Cyclocross, will assist with the presentations here of the Elite Men's title. And in third place, folks, put your hands together for Ryan Christensen. The silver medalist, James Wilson. And your 2024 National Criterium champion, folks, he comes from Otago, James Gardner. There we have it, folks, the national title. Folks, would you put your hands together for the Elite Men's Place Getters? Well, as we said, an outstanding day's worth of racing. Thanks to all our great supporters of the day here to ensure that we could put on such fantastic racing here for 2024. To all those involved, from the officials, the volunteers involved in today's racing, the guys that were bringing you the media coverage, the live stream, done a great job to ensure that you could enjoy this from around the country and across the world. A big shout out to all those that were following it from across New Zealand and across the world today, and all your feedback here as you enjoyed fantastic racing here in Palmerston North for its second year running. We're seeing some outstanding racing here amongst all these riders. We look forward to seeing those national jerseys out there across New Zealand and overseas over 2024. Thanks again for everyone for their great support here in Palmerston North. And again, folks, would you give it up for all the riders, the supporters, the sponsors, and everyone that brought you the 2024 New Zealand Criterium National Championships. The following riders are required to bring their transponders back, please, or there is a fine on your way. Number 2, Ben Oliver. Redmond Connolly, number 6. Glen Hayden, number 7. Adam Chapman, 16. Blake Bailey, 17. Marshall Irwood, 23. Jackson King, 32. Maui Morrison, 35. Cameron Beaumont, number 40. Those riders are required urgently to return your transponders. And Sammy Maxwell, number 51.
You are number... no idea. I was never going to see it, I was just talking to an old mate. I and my Jackson and you are number... Yeah, good luck. Please. My sister's living there now, so... Whereabouts? Not bad. Not a bad place. I was up there a few months ago, so... Should be the fun ride from a bit on the road. Yeah. Good, yeah. Smashing in Belgium, yeah? Yeah, we'll try out.
Yeah, I've got them, mate. I won't.